Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
We are 1 second into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on this Thursday morning, and Tyvis Powell has already lost his mind. Tyvis, what's up, my friend?
It's Jason's spot.
No, everybody is on one today. I called Jason. We won't get into it. And then Earl's yelling at me because there's no computer chargers. I give up today.
It's a morning. Bull is speaking at the Jewish Community Center this morning, so he is not in. Jay is usually off on Thursdays, as is G. Bush, so I'm filling in for Bull. We have Jason Lloyd. We have Tyvis Powell. We have Anthony and Earl behind the glass. Director Steve in the building. And we got a jam-packed show for you guys coming up. But first, I do want to address something that Jason sent to the group chat last night, which Anthony just referenced. I can't say the exact words of the meme that Jason sent because every word would have to be bleeped by the FCC. And the word in the meme that I'm referring to starts with the first letter of the FCC. So Jason, how many times since you found that meme yesterday have you used it already in real life
Just
application?
once, when Anthony called me this morning. I read it. I read it to him on the phone. At first, I don't think he knew what I was doing. He's like, what's the matter with you? And then he figured it out, and he's like, It is
a great meme.
It's great.
Is.
It's we could say F off, past that fence, and then continue to F off or something like that. It was something that we found
It's fun.
on social media
keep
yesterday.
effing off.
It was
keep effing
pretty
off
funny.
until you get to a
And
gate.
for context, I
with a
said,
sign.
good morning,
Yeah.
Jason, and then heard the entire meme.
Because apparently Garrett and I are like the last to send our stuff in when you guys ask for stuff.
You know, you're not.
I'm hit and miss.
No, you're hit or miss. G is consistently.
Yeah.
And I would actually say, Ant, if the bar of 100% is G always sends his stuff in, and 0 is G does not send it in, where do you think G's at? Has he dropped below the 50% line of what we asked from G?
Yeah,
What
he's
he
probably at
actually
like
delivers?
25% now because he just didn't send in a helmet last Friday. Like, he's just stopped responding totally sometimes.
I do worry that sometimes he's dead.
Yeah, sometimes it is concerning.
Honest to goodness.
And then he just shows up.
Yeah, well, sometimes he gets here at like 9:12 in the morning. It's like, oh, I just lost track of time.
Yeah, he does do that.
Gee, it's 9 o'clock.
It's been times I walked in and he's already sitting there, and I'm like, it was worse than you. Like, whoa, what are you doing here? You usually cut it like 10:58. Yeah.
Well, Jay Crawford's the consistently most late, but he's also. I'm never worried about Jay not being here.
Yeah.
Jay could walk in, no joke, with 3 seconds left and be mic'd up and hooked up.
It's ridiculous.
His IFB. He's a pro. Jason forgets to put his mic on sometimes.
Well.
Tyvis is in early. G's a giant question mark. And other than that, I think we're pretty good.
I'm over it.
Tyvis is the first responder.
But you have the furthest drive, so you leave the earliest by far.
I do.
Yeah.
I leave at like 8 o'clock every time.
Well, we have, for the third straight day, Ant, a little bit of breaking Browns news to start the show. 2 days ago, it was the one-day contract for Christian Kirksey, Rashard Higgins. Yesterday was the white face masks. And this morning, the Browns have signed offensive tackle Jermaine Ifedi, who came to the league with Tyvis Powell. So, Tyvis, tell the good people of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show world what they need to know about offensive lineman Jermaine Ifedi.
You know, Fetty was my boy. First of all, first round, I got to meet him obviously in Seattle when he got drafted first round, and I went undrafted, same draft class. Really good player. Bounced around the last couple of years. Fetty he's really a nice guy, but he has a mean streak to him, and he had like this thing when he was a rookie where he had this holding thing going on to a point where he got into a fight with my boy Mike Bennett in practice. So he got a good anger streak. I think he'll be a really good project on this line. Obviously, him being a former first-round pick always helps. That means that the talent is there. I've seen him do really great things, and I've also seen him have moments where he struggled. Now, remember, I was in Seattle when he was a rookie. Since then, he's developed. I think he's done some very productive stuff in this league, and you always need another tackle. You know, when I was with him in Seattle, he was playing left tackle. Who was the long-time left tackle there? He had
Walter
left.
Jones, wasn't it?
No, this was after Walter left. This guy went to the Chargers. I can't think of his name.
Left tackle?
Yeah, Seattle. He went to the Chargers. He was the one that he was like the first person that said he won his money in Bitcoin. Can't think of what.
Dwayne.
No, not Dwayne Brown. No, I can't think of his name, but he was replacing him, who was a really productive tackle, and obviously it was a big magnifying glass there. So he struggled his first year, but he ended up pulling it together.
So Ifedi's an A&M guy.
Yes,
so I actually
Texas
know him
A&M.
a little bit from
He's an
when he
Aggie.
comes back to A&M. He started in the league at tackle. He started in the league at guard. He hasn't been a full-time starter since the 2021 season. But when you're looking around at
There it
this
is.
Browns roster, they have 3 tackles who, frankly, aren't healthy right now. So you need strictly bodies for camp. And I'm not sure this is just a camp body. I think Jermaine Ifedi has a much higher upside than just a camp body like Leroy Watson or whatever guy they had in that role last year. But I'm not sure Conklin, DeJuan Jones, or Jed Wills, any of those guys will be ready for full-time workload in these OTAs in this training camp period, Davis. So to bring him in, a guy with the pedigree he has as a first-round draft pick. He started over 40 games at tackle in the league. He has 10 starts in the interior at the guard position. So it gives you a little versatility. And working with Andy Dickerson now, I mean, I just think he's familiar with him from Seattle.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, that has a lot to do with it right there. Usually,
familiarity.
I know this guy. I know what he can bring. I know he can help us get through certain things. If we get in a pinch, I know I can put him in there. He'll understand the language. He'll pick up the playbook pretty easily. So that's another reason why you go out and get a guy like that. And Russell Okung was the guy who
who's lost a ton of weight, by the way. You've seen him recently. He's lost a ton of weight. But
on that Joe Thomas retirement plan.
But back to Ifedi real quick. Having a guy with that versatility on the line, and let's just say for the sake of this, he ends up making a 53-man roster. Between him and Michael Dunn, you have 2 guys you feel pretty confident plugging and placing along any of the offensive line positions. And we know Batonio's getting older.
Yep.
We know Pochich has dealt with some injuries. Wyatt Teller's a warrior, but he had the calf injury last year. You have 3 tackles who aren't pillars of elite health. So just having that versatility and the ability to mix and match if needed is something they might look at.
Is Michael Dunn the only returning lineman that's guard that we got outside of Luke Whippler?
Well,
because Nick Harris is
gone.
Yeah.
Did they bring back James Hudson, or did they let James Hudson walk? Was he even a free
That's
agent?
A good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Hudson's still.
I feel like he is still around.
I feel like he has one more year on his
Well, at the end of the day, you need guys. You always want those linemen with versatility, And the thing about it is, if somebody goes down, Ifedi is good because if no matter what position goes down outside of center, you can always bring him in and he can plug and play, and you can keep those same 4 guys in there. And I think that when you look at the line, oftentimes people don't realize that when a lineman goes down, it's not necessarily, more times than not, it's not who's left tackle to or who's the backup. Usually it's about who's the next best player, who's the best lineman that's left. So we'll plug him in. Maybe some guy got to scoot out, stuff like that. But you always want to have your best 5 linemen in there. And if Ifedi can serve a purpose to play all of these positions, then you don't have to worry about moving guys around. You can have a guy that can play multiple positions.
Yeah, it gives you the versatility to mix and match. James Hudson does have 1 more year on his deal, so he is back as one of the Browns' extra tackles. But Ifedi, a guy with veteran experience, he's familiar with Andy Dickerson. Comes into the Browns now, you hope can learn something from a Batonio, from a Teller, from a Pochich, from a Conklin, the other guys that are on this roster. And I think it's a low risk, I don't want to say high reward, but low risk move that makes a lot of sense for the team.
What is he, 30 now?
31, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, he's getting up there in age, but it's a veteran guy that's seen everything, all the fronts, different blitzes. He understands communication. He's been on the big stage in Seattle where he was #1 pick, had to be a starter. He was productive in Chicago. So you just got a guy with versatility and veteran presence. That's what you want on the offensive line. You don't want a guy that you go in there, you have to worry about can he handle certain things, or if they do something tricky that they haven't seen on film, can this offensive lineman pick it up? You know that this guy's confident. You're confident that this guy can still get things done.
Jason?
It's a free look.
Yeah.
It's the, you say low risk, high reward. Well, it's a low risk look. Come in, take a look at him. You got him all through OTAs and camp and see what he's got. I mean, they started Jaron Christian, a practice squad guy, at tackle for multiple games last year.
But Bill Callahan was here.
Yeah. Well, you can never have enough guys up front. So,
I hope Andy he got some big shoes to fill. Andy Dickerson. That Bill Callahan move. It makes you wonder, obviously it's because his son is in Tennessee, but maybe that this thing is going more to a passing attack, and Bill Callahan was in charge of the run game, so maybe he was like, I'm out.
Peace.
Well, I think it had more to do with his kid than anything.
True, but I'm just saying, like, if the playbook is changing.
Oh, the playbook's changing.
My point exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
All right, let's get a read in, and then we'll get to our first planned topic of the day.
Yeah, guys, it is playoff time in the NBA, NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet an automatic win. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And our ticket today comes from Bobby Rhodes. He turned $20 into $99.45 for the Orioles money line, the Rays money line, and the Braves money line. The Royals money line was voided.
Nice. Hell of a win for Bobby Rhodes. I think that was the Adam the Bull special, by the way, that he hit on. Bull gave out a pick on his podcast. Bobby bet it. Hit it, so congratulations to Bobby Rhodes for winning a FanDuel bet. Make sure you send us your FanDuel bets, and we'll get them involved in the show in the coming days. Tyvis, let's start with some words that Denzel Ward had on Tuesday when he was speaking to the media at the second day of OTAs. He was asked about the importance of keeping the DB trio of Denzel, Greg Newsome, and Martin Emerson Jr. together, and why, in his opinion, the Browns should prioritize keeping those three intact. And three of the quote from Denzel on that.
Yeah, I've got it right here. It's very important. I mean that was one of the things I've kind of been openly sharing. Like, I want to keep us together. I feel like AB says all the time, you can never have enough great corners and enough corners on the team.
So, Tyvis, in a realistic world, should the Browns try and do everything in their power to keep that DB trio together for the long-term future?
Listen, obviously I'm a little biased because I played the corner position, but it's also a fact. If you have good DB play, you always want to keep those guys, unless you are for sure certain that the next guy that you're bringing in can be that productive. Like the one thing I give Greg Newsome a lot of credit on is this was a guy who was drafted to be cornerback number 2 for this team, and he got kind of forced into this nickel role, and for a little bit, he hated it, but now he's learned to embrace it, and he's gotten better at it. He's made some plays out of there. So I respect him for, transitioning, because it's not an easy transition to go from all of that space to being inside like that. It's a totally different ball game. But he's embraced it, and he was productive. I mean, he had 14 PPUs and 2 picks, which is very good for him. I believe that they're going to take care of MJ Emerson. He's not the guy that anybody's concerned about. It's always about G. New. And this is the part that gets me. If they pick up his 5th-year option, that's $13.3 million. Slot corners, I think Kenny Moore is a top guy. Everybody knows who Kenny Moore is. I think he's making $10 million.
It'd be a very high salary.
Exactly. So where are they going to find this fine line at? Like, okay, do you take this 5th-year option and then extend him for more years to try to bring that number down over like 3 or 4 years? Maybe that's the way you can do it. But if you feel like Cam Mitchell can do that, or you feel like you can get another one and he could be productive and he can make more plays on the ball where he gets interceptions, then I guess you go for that. But right now I think G. New brings that energy. G. New is a guy that can play inside and outside, and G. New is still a guy that when Denzel goes down for those 1, 2, or 3 games that he misses, nobody blinks an eye because he is very productive out there. He can get you through a game. So that's why I think he's very valuable to this team. And if I was the Browns, I would try to keep him because, like AB's right, corners, you got good corners, you want to keep good corners. As you know, this is a passing league. Everybody wants to pass. Everybody puts their best player sometime inside the slot, and you need a guy that you can trust to get that job done. Playing inside is not that easy, and G. New has been productive there.
We spent a lot of time talking about Greg Newsome, haven't we?
A ton.
Yeah.
A ton.
It's been like the hot topic for the past couple of weeks. I was talking to Tony yesterday, Tony Grossi. He was on my podcast, and he was talking about, he was like, I wouldn't be shocked if on draft day somebody picks up the phone and somebody don't get the corner that they want,
Right.
and then they pick up the phone and say, hey, we'll give you such and such for G New, and he gets dealt. I was like, actually a possibility, actually. If somebody don't get the corner that they want, and you look at G New as a guy who, has been productive in here. He knows how to play. He's adjusted to the speed of the game. He is a CB2 that can also slide inside. Somebody might pick up the phone and take that. I'm sure the Browns might listen.
Valuable.
Yeah.
It surprises me how much time we've spent on the third corner, on the slot corner. And I get it, I guess, a little bit. We said a couple weeks ago, they're going to pick up the option. I think they pick it up just out of because you asked him to do something that he wasn't comfortable doing, so you reward him with the option. Doesn't mean you have to keep him.
Yeah.
You can still trade him and pick up the option now and trade him a year from now. But he's a security blanket right now to make sure that Cam Mitchell's for real. Like, right, you got to see it again out of Cam. And if Cam Mitchell is the real deal at slot, well then, you probably do look to move Greg. And if somebody wows them at the draft this year, then sure, that's a possibility.
You don't think it's funny? Like, the Browns operate in a way that if you're not really paying attention, you'll miss it. But see me, I can see what's going on. Two examples on this Browns roster right now that tells me that they're looking to move on from a veteran guy. When they drafted Cam Mitchell from Northwestern, all right, G New, we got you your little brother, teach him up, get him right, all right? And then last year, we're going to go get Jerry Jeudy. You're going to get your idol. Amari Cooper, teach him up, get him right, and then boom. To me, I know people like, they would never do that.
It's a business.
I'm telling you, they going to get somebody that you like, we buddy with. You don't see it like, that's my brother. So if I do leave, if they do move on from me, this my little brother. Like, I want him to at least shine. I'll be cool with that. Like, that's the way it looks to me.
Smart.
It is smart. Do you see it though? Like, it's two examples on this roster with them. Yeah. And when they got Cam Mitchell from Northwestern, G New was so excited. Oh, this is my boy. He's good. And Cam Mitchell actually played nickel. Then they went and got Jeudy. Oh, who's his idol? Amari Cooper. Yeah. I grew up idolizing Amari Cooper. They both went to bed. It's just funny to me. It's very ironic.
We have spent a ton of time talking about Greg Newsome, but I think that's almost a testament to how good and secure the rest of the roster is. That there are only so many guys really have long-term questions. That we spoke about JOK on Tuesday, whether or not the Browns will extend him. I think in a perfect world, of course you keep this trio together. Yeah. There's three really good cornerbacks. The reality is at some point you have to pick and choose which guys you can and can't pay because you can't pay everybody. And if you're going to pay Newsome, they're going to pick up the fifth-year option. I'm not worried about that. And if they do, both Emerson and Newsome's contracts would expire after the 2025 season. So they'd both be due at the same time. Do you give one early? Do you give Emerson the extension early? Well, if you do, all right, that Newsome money's for either for Newsome or JOK. Or is it for bringing back a Nick Chubb or re-signing Ethan Pochich? Or where do you get that money from? And if there's one thing we learned about Andrew Berry during his time as the Browns GM, he's really good at evaluating and identifying talent in the defensive back room. Whether it's been Newsome or Emerson or Cam Mitchell, who we all really like. Hell, they found Ronnie Hickman as an undrafted free agent who came in and was able to succeed. If there's any position group I'm comfortable with Andrew Berry trying to replace via draft picks, especially in the later rounds, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, it is that defensive back, cornerback position because his hit rate there has been so good. So I would love to keep Greg Newsome in a perfect world. I would love to keep all three of them together. I just don't know if it's financially realistic to do so when everyone else needs to get paid too. And if there's a position I think they can replenish via the draft, it is that DB room, Tyvis.
Well, another thing to look at is Denzel. Look at Denzel in this aspect. Denzel's pretty much a solidified piece. I don't think they're ever going to really try to move off of Denzel.
They already restructured his deal.
Exactly. Until his age catch up to him and he's not as effective. So another thing to look at, what about this? If they've been really good, say that the Cam Mitchell thing is, we don't know. But if you so happen to check OTAs, pay attention to OTAs this year. If you so happen to just hear about Denzel taking some slot corner reps, I wouldn't be shocked if they draft another outside guy. I mean, I did see that they had brought in some kid from Mississippi State. Where was Martin Emerson from?
Mississippi State.
So they had brought some
DeCorian Richardson.
Yeah, some guy from Mississippi State, 6'2", 210 or something like that corner. So I'm just saying, you know, if Denzel so happen, if he can handle the corner position or the slot nickel position as well.
Can I ask you a question about that, though?
You can always say, when we go nickel, Denzel slide down.
A guy like Denzel, who's so good on the outside, would you want to transition him to the slot? Or do you feel so comfortable in what you have in a guy like Denzel, who's a legitimate lockdown, put him on an island, you feel good about it? Like, would you want to sacrifice that for a potential rookie? I mean,
so let me put it to you in a player's perspective. Okay, if I'm a lockdown outside and I sign for $100 million, how much you think they'd pay me if I can check my dude no matter where he goes, inside or outside? I could be effective inside and outside.
125.
Okay, so if that's the case, if you want to truly be like the best, like I want to be known as the best corner in this game. Stephon Gilmore was a guy who did it. Gilly the Kid, he did it all the time. Well, no matter where that guy went, he was checking them, whether it's inside or outside. What happened with that? He went DPOY. So I think if you truly want to be seen, Jalen Ramsey was another guy. He plays inside and outside. If you truly want to be that guy and be known as the best corner in this game, you have to have the ability to be able to play inside as well. Because if your guy goes in there and we're a heavy man team, we play man a lot. If I need you to check your dude inside, I don't want you to be like, well, I don't go inside. Like, you got to be able to play inside and outside. So if Denzel needs another challenge for himself, if he wants to elevate his game a little bit more, because he's already at the top of his game. But if you want to elevate it a little bit more, like that Mamba mentality that Kobe said, you want to go further, go inside. I think you have all the athleticism. You're athletic enough, you're fast enough, you're quick enough. You can handle anything. You tackle very well. You can handle the inside easily. You just have to get more reps at it.
Denzel tackles well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're the pro. Like, I'm not.
Denzel is.
I wouldn't put that at the top of his
Denzel
list.
He tackles well for a corner.
Okay. He's gotten game reps at slot. Yeah. Because I've noticed early in games before, I'm like, well, that's where they were
especially
just
2 years ago, right?
I don't remember now.
last
I remember it was early in the year. I don't remember which year it was, where I had the binoculars out and thought.
I know last year during OTAs when I went to practice, he was practicing what it was like to be in the slot. They was working on communications. They was working on stacks and bunches. And we get a stack, how will we play these things if I'm in the slot? So it's definitely something that he's been more open to, I can tell.
Is there any, and I just thought of this, and this could be really bad. There could be nothing to this at all. Do you see any comparison between if they did try to move on from Greg Newsome to slide Cam Mitchell in there, and Cam does have a year of experience, and that's why I'm not sure this is apples to apples, to what they did with Josh Dobbs when they moved on from Dobbs, the backup quarterback, to get the extra pick, thinking they were okay, and then it came back to bite them? Is there any correlation there at all?
Because it's always, as a general manager, you always move on from a guy a year too early rather than a year too late.
Yeah.
So if that is this year, that's what you're supposed to do. By the book, that's what you're supposed to do.
That was the Bill
move on a
Belichick
year early than
motto,
a year too late. Because a year too late, you're not going to get nothing for him. And like I say, if the draft comes around and guys don't get the corner that they want, Greg Newsome is a solid cornerback too in this league.
Yes.
Like I say, he has that versatility. That's something that you don't just get out of the draft like that. You always have to work and let these young guys get a year under their belts, and then towards the end of the year they start to take off. And you're like, all right, we got us a CB2. But that guy right there is ready to go. So if you willing to give up something, second, third round pick, which might be a little bit high, but teams get desperate around this time, I think the Browns would listen to that offer.
I'd be surprised if they moved Newsome at this point of the season, I'll be honest. Now, we saw Cam Mitchell play, and especially against Chicago, I thought he played very well. Like he showed out when he had an opportunity, made the big tackle on Justin Fields on fourth down. But I'm not sure we saw enough from the coverage standpoint in Cam Mitchell to feel confident that he could step in and replace Greg Newsome in this defensive scheme where you need those guys to cover one-on-one.
I agree.
Man coverage to allow the defensive front to get the pressure that Jim Schwartz needs. So it's definitely a risky preposition moving on for him. He is probably their most valuable trade asset. That's a realistic piece. But I'm not quite sure that I'm willing to cut bait on that yet.
Yeah, I'm not. Let me get on the record. I want to keep all three of them forever. I don't want to trade no corner because I'm just selfish like that. So I don't think they should move on unless y'all are just extremely that comfortable. Like in blowout games, maybe work Cam Mitchell in there and see what he can do. But it's to go 17 games on somebody and then plus a playoff run, that's a lot for a guy that's just dibbled and dabbled with it a little bit.
You want to do a read? We'll move on to some stadium talk.
Yeah, we'll get into this real quick before we move on. Guys, I've been told I'm a competitive person, and after all my years of playing soccer, I think that's pretty true. But my competitive side is a huge fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 times. It's a great twist of Monopoly where you play not on one, but on hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But Anthony, what's the best part? It's messing with your friends. You can charge them on all the iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but now you can also rob their vaults and get all the riches for yourself. And the leaderboards will show you who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store and Google Play.
So Denzel Ward talked about keeping the DB trio together. He also talked about the new Cleveland Browns stadium plans and what he hopes to see when Jimmy Haslam unveils the final reconstruction of whatever is going to happen. And do we have a quote for that too, or do you want me just to paraphrase what he said?
No, we've got the quote if you want to read it here, Mike. It says, I'm a Cleveland guy, so I appreciate all the history that's going into the stadium and where we're currently playing. He did also go on to say that if it does move, he's open to it moving, but he'd like it to stay downtown.
So Deshaun Watson a couple weeks ago on his podcast said he prefers a dome. And we had the discussion of should players have any say in the future plans for the stadium, yes or no, and we talked about that from Deshaun's standpoint. From a Cleveland guy like Denzel saying he thinks it should stay downtown, Tyvis, I guess we're bringing up the question again. Do players and should players have any say in what the Browns do with their new stadium?
I think it depends on the player, but a billionaire is going to do what a billionaire wants to do at the end of the day because they're the ones that's cutting the check. I think Denzel said this for the simple fact that he is a Cleveland guy, and he understands that, playing downtown means a lot, because you're in Cleveland. That's just what you've known. A lot of people fear change. When you change something, when you move things from where they were, a lot of people just don't like that because they're so comfortable with their routine, their certain game day routine. Maybe it won't be the same because it won't be downtown. Maybe it's something special that Denzel does every game before the game that's downtown. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And him being from Cleveland, like I said, you want it to stay in Cleveland. Heck, I want it to stay in Cleveland. In the perfect world, I want them to build the dome downtown, but that's just not what the case is. And if you're asking any player, again, if they rather play in great weather conditions where under a dome or in elements of rain, snow, and all that, 98% of the time they're going to tell you, I'd rather play in the dome, so that's not a factor on my mind. I don't understand why this is such a big debate. Just go with the dome. You've played in domes. You've been successful in domes. Only thing I request is a natural grass field. That's it. No turf. Please, no turf.
Jason, you're a stadium guy.
That would be tricky to pull off, natural grass in a dome. They do it in Arizona because it's Arizona, and they can wheel it out, and the weather's nice. And I don't know. That might be something else I have to look into because I agree in terms of the injuries on turf. It's bad with knees and everything else. It was funny. I was at the Guardians game. I was working at Progressive Field, and I walked by a couple of the workers, and they called me over like, "You gotta stop with this dome talk about moving it out of the city. We gotta keep this team in the city. Keep that stadium. I want that stadium in the city." And they were rattling off a couple of different sites where they thought a stadium might be able to go. I'm like, guys. It's Jimmy. He wants 176 acres. It's the land around. It's not just the stadium land. It's the land all around, and what they can do with it all is what's so appealing to him. And you're right. Billionaires are going to do. I mean, did you see the ESPN story where basically Robert Kraft got retired Bill Bellchick and called the Falcons and said, nope.
Yeah.
And now we'll
that's messed up, man.
That was cool.
That's so messed up.
I mean, that's billionaires live in a different world, man, and they do their own thing. But to the earlier question, no player should have any say in terms of stadium site. Stadiums are going to be around minimum 30 years, if not 40
the players
50
going to be
years.
there for
Players going to be here 6-7 years,
Yeah.
8 years, 10 tops. If you have a franchise quarterback, in the best of circumstances, maybe 10 to 15.
Even Tom Brady didn't last 20 years in New England.
Yeah, I mean, so there are probably very specific special circumstances like a Brady. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 in the history of the game who maybe should have some sort of say in it. But by and large, Mahomes. He's got a long way to go in Kansas City still, and he could be the greatest ever to play by the time he's done if you want to consult with him or whatever, go fine. But these are very, very few and far between cases of guys who should have any sort of say at all in what goes on, whether it's dome, open air, location, anything like that. The Cavs did build a practice facility outside LeBron's house.
Well, you mentioned the rare instances. That's
one of them. That's the only. They can say whatever they want. They put that thing in Independence because it was close to LeBron's house. It was right down 77, right up 77. And then now they're moving it downtown.
So we've heard Denzel talk about it. We've heard Deshaun talk about it. So if you added Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, Wyatt Teller, let's bring back Bernie, let's bring back Joe Thomas. You get every former Browns player to come in and say, we want this to stay downtown. Jimmy's going to say, you front the other half of the bill for the dome, and then we'll keep it downtown. And if that doesn't happen, they are moving to Brook Park. Frankly, it sucks that that's the reality.
Did he buy the land already?
That's going to happen. And they could use
so
it
the land is technically his.
Well, I don't think he hasn't closed on it.
Okay.
I don't think it's that far down the road, but I think they're gonna buy that land and they'll turn it into something else. If it's not a stadium, they'll do something else. They'll still do retail and mixed use and shopping and everything else. Okay. It's just not going to have a stadium on it. Again, they got to figure out the funding component of this. That's a lot.
And it's
got to
happen fast.
dollars.
Am I crazy for thinking it has to happen not tomorrow, but
I keep
sooner
saying
than later?
that. I keep saying certainly by the end of the year. If they're going to go before the public, and they don't necessarily have to, but if they have a ballot measure, I think they have to have it on this November ballot.
Do you think what happened in Kansas City will spook the Haslam's
Yes.
in this election?
Spook?
And for anyone who doesn't know, by the way,
they're watching.
For anyone who doesn't know, Kansas City had a vote to help fund a new Royal Stadium and a new Chiefs Stadium, and the public voted it down with the overall sentiment being, we're not giving you our tax dollars to help you build billionaire suites for your billionaire friends. That was essentially what the vote was.
And both of those facilities are way older than Brown Stadium.
Is it because everybody talks about the Brown stadium being very cheaply built? And do you think Kansas City's worse?
Were you there for that? Were you out there for that? I've only been there one time.
I've only been to Kansas City twice.
Did you ever play there?
I played there twice. I told you my first NFL game was at Kansas City.
They've renovated it. I mean,
so that was in 16. 16 was when I was there.
I mean, you can certainly tell the difference when you walk into Atlanta, the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
I never got to go there, man.
When you walk into Atlanta, SoFi, I haven't been to Vegas, but it's in that category. Minnesota.
I was at Minnesota. Minnesota's nice.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, Minnesota's nice.
You walk into those stadiums, compared to everything else, there is no comparison. Yeah. And Kansas City certainly falls into the everything else category. Mm-hmm. And I've never been to Royal Stadium. I've never been there. They're right across the street from each other. But I'm sorry. Yeah, Kauffman Stadium. I never covered a game there.
Mm. Well, I just want to know. I need to know what the renovation, the $1 billion renovation, what is it doing?
If
they stay downtown, what is?
No one would know better than Jason.
He said he didn't dig in on that.
Yeah, I've spent more time trying to get to the bottom of the dome thing rather than. I think that they would tear it down to the studs. Like they would tear the current stadium down and almost rebuild it on the current land and basically redo the whole thing. So it's still going to be open air. It's not going to be a dome.
So they're going to have to play somewhere else for like 2 seasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to look into that. I don't know. I don't even know if they've got
giving them homework.
Yeah, right. Every time I do something with you make me do work.
Hey, the people want to know. People want to know these answers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they know because I think right now everyone's focused on how do they do the dome.
Well, we had Zach in here yesterday, your colleague, Zach Jackson with The Athletic, and he said in his opinion, if it was up to the Haslams, they would build a dome downtown.
100%.
Oh,
downtown?
Downtown?
Am I remembering what he said correctly?
Off the top of my head, I believe so, yes.
Yeah, he said if it was up to them, they'd build a dome downtown.
So why can't they?
Money.
So it would cost more money to build the dome downtown?
I hope I'm not misquoting Zach on that.
Do you
I was
think it
sitting right
costs
next
more
to him in that
money
chair. I thought
to
that's
build
what
a
he said.
dome downtown in that location?
Well, you can't build it. I mean, if you try and build a dome on that location, that's going to be multiple years that you're because you got to knock the whole thing down.
Yeah, you got to knock the whole thing down.
So
well, but they ripping it down to the studs.
Well, but I think that there's and the Guardians
foundations for that.
The Guardians is a bad example, but the Guardians are playing through their renovations. Like, literally they start the day after the season ends. They work as long as they can. And then with the Browns, it would actually be better because you can work through the spring and summer months, whereas baseball, you're trying to work through the winter months. So you just do it in phases. Okay. But there may be a year where you can't. I don't know. Like I'm totally speculating on this because I just don't know. But you can certainly play through renovations while you're doing them, if depending on how significant the renovations are. I'm surprised to hear Zach say that, only because I think that they like the Brook Park plan is what they want. That's what they want. They want land. They want land, and they want the opportunity to print money out there, which is what they will do. And that's why if the public pushes back on it, I get it. Like I've said before, I think he should pay for the whole thing himself.
Yeah.
That doesn't please many people in Barrio every time I say that.
When that pilot number came out, it's gonna be
13.6
It's gonna be
mil.
hard to get people to knowing that he got that. And it's hard to donate towards that. And
Buffalo got a ton of public money, and they're not even
still
building.
Didn't make a dome.
They're still not doing a dome. But the trend very much has become, if you want it, you pay for it. There's been less and less public funds put into these things. In Atlanta, Arthur Blank was on the hook for all the overruns, and there were a lot of overruns. And the city's like, you want it, you pay for it.
So far, it's only been one stadium where it's just been the owner, and that's SoFi?
SoFi is the only one that I'm aware of.
And
that
Vegas wasn't?
I believe Vegas. No, I mean, Vegas just taxes the crap out of everyone who comes in there. That's why the tourism rates are outrageous in Vegas. But SoFi is the only one, to my knowledge, where the owner paid for the whole thing.
100%, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's still accurate.
Yeah.
Does he have, like, shops and restaurants?
Not yet, but it's going to be.
Okay.
It's out in Inglewood. It's in kind of a rough area right now.
Yeah, Inglewood.
But they're going to – it's by the Forum. It's by the old Great Western Forum.
Oh, okay.
But they're gonna do up that whole
It'll
area.
be all built up. And it's by where the Clippers are building their stadium, right?
I don't know if I know where the Clippers are building their arena.
It's in Englewood.
Is it?
I think it's within the same vicinity of LA.
That'll be great. That'll be a great little section.
Don't quote me on that. Don't quote, but I'm pretty sure it's in the same general area.
Yeah, I know a bunch of the people with that organization. That'd be great. They need their own arena.
Yeah.
They need to get out of the shadow of the Lakers.
Have you seen the design? Like
No.
the
I knew that they were talking about it, but I haven't kept up with it.
I'll make sure I send it to you. They're building it straight up.
Really?
So it's going to be loud. They're trying to build a wall, essentially. A wall of noise is what their goal is.
Okay, now that's interesting. If it's in Inglewood, well, I guess, because somebody told me that SoFi, and I was at SoFi and I didn't notice this, part of SoFi is underground because of flight patterns with LAX. And it's like 4 miles away, but because of the way the planes come in.
Yeah.
So I wonder how high they can go with that. If they're building it by, but I guess it can be, if you're not in the flight, I mean, not everything in Inglewood would have to adhere to that. But I mean, we talked about that before. If the Browns go through with this plan,
they're going to have to dig theirs.
They're going to have to dig down. They have you can only put it so high because obviously it's right next to the airport. So that's another added cost.
$1.8 billion, by the way, and it is going in Inglewood. I was right.
Inglewood.
Yeah.
For the Clippers arena, 1.8 million or billion.
Yeah.
Whew. I mean, Ballmer's.
According to the LA Times, I mean, I'm literally looking at the article as we speak.
I want to dig in on that. I wonder who's paying for that. Is Ballmer? Ballmer's probably not paying for the whole thing, is he?
He has more money than anyone.
Yeah, he does.
All right, let's do a read and we'll talk a little Cavs. Speaking of basketball.
All right, guys. Before we get into the Cavs, I want to remind everybody that this show could not exist without the help of sponsors like Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking to get that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the #1 finance destination, producing holistic look at financial news cycles, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, and independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind great investors, yahoofinance.com.
Nice. All right, guys, get your faces.
We're doing happy face or sad face for the Cavs, everybody. Get ready.
We did this last year before the Cavs-Knicks playoff series. Who do you trust and why heading into that series? The rosters for the Cleveland Cavaliers look much different this time around than it did last season. There's no Danny Greens. There's no Jetty Osmonds. A lot more guys we would hope we trust, but we're going to find out if Tyvis, Jason, and myself have faith in some of the Cavs' big-time players to come through when it matters most. Ant, lead us through this.
All right, ready to start off, guys. Donovan Mitchell, how do you guys feel about him with his injuries? Happy face, sad face?
What's the criteria?
Do you trust player X in a postseason series?
I don't like this game.
All right, we got a happy face from everybody. Donovan, so we're feeling pretty good even after the injury then.
I mean, I'm not starting this off with an angry
Yeah,
face.
I'll go.
Using violence. I'm not
I'll
doing
go
it.
first on Donovan because I think I do not have a lot of trust in a lot of these guys. But if you look at his playoff career, last year's playoff series against the Knicks was the anomaly. That was not the regular for his postseason career. Over his course of his playoff tenure, he's averaging 27, 7, and 7. He's averaged over 30 points per game in 2 separate playoff runs that lasted at least 7 games. What happened against New York last year starts with Donovan because he was the leader of that team, but it was not just a Donovan Mitchell problem. That whole team collapsed. And heading into the postseason, he was 75, 80-ish%. He said yesterday he feels 100% healthy. I'm not sure I'm fully buying that. But with 10 days off between his last game against Indiana and we'll see him against Orlando, I do think he'll be healthy enough. If he was what he was against Indiana, against Orlando, he's going to be able to score 20, 25 points a game. Is he full peak Donovan? I'm not sure. But I do trust the fact that Donovan will show up in this postseason series in a way he did not last year against New York.
He's had some monster postseason games, for
Yeah.
sure. I still have last year stuck in my head, and it's hard to shake that. But I do think, like, this is a really motivated team. This is a really motivated Donovan. You know, like I said before, his teams have lost in the first round 4 of the last 5 years. He's never made a conference finals. He's very aware of that. He's acutely aware of that. And he knows that's his reputation right now. And if I wrote it this morning, if they flame out again, it's on him. Like, Darius and Evan and Jarrett, no one's going to blame them.
Injury or not.
Injury or not, he's the star of the team. He's the one who's going to take the blame for it. And he knows that. I mean, JB will as well. But it'll be JB and Donovan. They'll be the ones that get blamed for it if it's an early exit again.
It'll be 70-30, JB.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, I mean, nationally, it'll be Donovan.
Oh, nationally, yeah.
It'll be Donovan.
Cleveland, 85-15.
90.
It'll be 95-5.
Yeah. Which I don't know is entirely fair. But we got to let it play out first. Like, hopefully they win the series, and this is a moot conversation, a moot point at least for a few weeks. I trust them.
You need to stop because I know you really wanted to do this.
There'll be plenty of other guys I can do that too.
Yeah.
But I trust Donovan.
I trust Donovan for the simple fact that I think that when you look at this Orlando matchup, he's got by far the toughest defender. I'm sure Suggs is going to be on him. And if he can be effective against their best guy and cause Suggs to call for help and guys feel like they got to help, I believe that helps everybody else get open and make open shots. But I think it all starts with him. If he can't make Jalen Suggs feel like he needs to be helped or other guys got to slide over in some type of way and they can and Suggs can take him one-on-one, I think that just cancels out everybody else. So I think he's going to be motivated to do that. He's a really good player. In crunch time, no matter what you've seen lately, if he's as healthy as he says he is in crunch time, that guy does have that killer and that clutch gene. So I expect to see that, and I expect him to get out of the first round. They have to get out of first. They got to sell out to get out of the first round, and it starts with Donovan.
Next up, Ben.
Next up, we talked about picking him over Strus possibly, but Isaac Okoro. How are we feeling about Okoro? Tyler does not trust him. Mike does not trust him. All right.
Wow.
Over 3.
I think Isaac has the quickest ability for me to change my heading into this series opinion. Because defensively, it's a giant diss.
Yeah, nobody.
Defensively, it's a giant diss. As Jason mentioned with last year's Knicks series, I have to see him take and make a few threes in the postseason before I can fully trust him. He shot 45% from beyond the arc in February. That number dropped to 36% in March. You want to be trending upwards to the postseason, not downwards. Attempts relatively the same, but he had his best shooting season of his career this year. None of that matters if he's not confident enough to take those shots in the postseason. I just have to see it first. It very easily, by game 3, could be this. I just have to see it first before I change my don't trust to trust.
I totally agree, and we've talked about it on the show before, but I talked to a couple of NBA coaches this year. Is like, how would you guard this team in the playoffs? How would you? And I talked to two head coaches and assistant, and they all said the same thing. You have to pick somebody to shrink off. You're choosing Isaac. If Isaac's on the floor, because he's making them in the regular season, it's a lot different to make those shots in April and May than it is in January and February and March. And they want to prove that he can do it. And we'll see. And until he does it, no, I don't have faith in him that he can do it because he hasn't done it yet. Once he does it, Mike's right. If he comes out and he hits the first 2 or 3 corner threes, if Orlando leaves him open and he makes the first 2 or 3, it's a series changer. It's not a game changer. It is a series changer.
Yes.
That right there, what you talking about goes back to my Donovan Mitchell point, because if Donovan takes him off the thing, they gonna leave. Isaac is the guy that they're gonna leave open, so he's gonna kick it to Isaac, and Isaac, you better hit it.
Last year he didn't even shoot it was the issue.
You better hit it.
He shot a couple, and it was alligator arms. It was bad.
But the reason that I don't trust him, the reason that I'm here with Isaac, is because I promise you, I feel like it's literally the same thing that it was last year. Last year it was a stretch before he got hurt where he was playing some really good basketball. And he got hurt, and he just was never the same. And he didn't get hurt this year, but he just kind of fell off a little bit. So going into this,
part of the reason
I'm shell shocked from last year.
Part of the reason he fell off was the amount of open looks he was getting dropped when Donovan's hurt.
Yeah.
He's at his best when he's playing with Donovan, who draws defenders come in, he kicks out to the corner. So I did mention the shooting numbers drop. That's partly because Donovan wasn't on the court to get him those open looks. Donovan's back. You hope he's healthy enough to create those open looks. But Isaac has to hit them first before I think anyone could feel confident he's capable of doing that in a postseason series.
Isaac has about $80 million at stake in the next 3 weeks.
Yes.
Honestly.
No,
that's
he's
a lot of
100%
money.
right.
He's got $80 million on the line. Because if he plays well, if he balls out, he makes those open shots in the postseason.
He's getting a 5-year, $80 million contract.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, it's $35-40 million.
Yeah. It's really.
He's got $40 million on the line.
Yeah. And that's
if I'm him,
that's real.
I'm shooting 1,000 jumpers a day.
And, to your point about Suggs, Mike and I talked about this on the Cavs podcast this week. I agree. Like, the Knicks did this, and we've said it for 2 years. When you get to the postseason, the first thing teams do is they blitz your best player, blitz the pick and roll, get the ball out of his hands. Okay, now what else are you going to go to? Orlando is the one team that may not do that. Just because Suggs is so good as an on-ball defender, they may not feel like they need to take the chance. And I'm curious to see how Orlando plays this series, how they guard Donovan, because they may not do what the Knicks did last year. They may not just attack Donovan and blitz Donovan because Suggs is so good. If Suggs can handle him one-on-one,
it depends.
You don't need to.
Well, I think they're gonna fill out to see how healthy is Donovan.
Yeah.
If he's truly 100%, all right, maybe we do need to throw some blitzes in there. But if he's not 100%.
Or on the flip side, if he's not 100%, you blitz him with Suggs and Isaac. And good luck trying to break that.
Yeah, that's bad too.
And who's next?
Up next, we have Evan Mobley. How you guys feeling about Evan?
When you say okay,
Can I throw both faces up for this one?
Because see, this is
a simple question.
Yeah, no, because it's not. It's a loaded question. When you say trust, are we talking just points, like scoring? Because, like, rebound and defense, I'm good.
I trust him.
But the scoring part,
I'm going yes, too.
I trust him.
I don't know. 2 out of 3 tie this. I'd say you trust him.
You don't have to listen to us.
Jason, you start. Why do you trust Evan Mobley?
I trust Evan Mobley because he had a really good year this year. And the shooting component gets overshadowed. It overshadows a lot of the rest, and I get it.
What they going to do to him? What the Magic going to do to him?
Well, he's another one. If he's open, he's got to shoot it. And I actually have faith in him to make those shots.
I mean, listen, he's had games where he's went 100% from the three-point line.
Yeah, I have faith in him to make those shots. Now, the problem is, obviously, he's not a stretch four.
No.
Obviously, we talked about on the show when they went on that 18-2 heater, and then how do they continue to play that? Well, the way you continue to play that way, if you go 4 out and 1 in, is Evan has to be one of the outs, and he has to consistently take and make those shots. Well, that didn't happen to the extent that it probably needed to continue playing this way. So I don't know how Mobley and Allen I don't know how many minutes they're going to be able to play on the floor together, and that complicates things. But as a player in this series, I absolutely trust Evan Mobley.
Here's what's funny.
He the one checking Paolo, right?
It just depends on who's up. If Isaac Okoro's on the court, Isaac's going to check Paolo.
Yeah.
Mobley will
But
probably
Evan could
start.
too.
Yeah.
Evan could too.
Here's what I do trust about Evan Mobley. His defensive ability, his ability to get decent looks if he has to drive from the wing. What I'm not sure I trust about Evan Mobley in this series is the viability of playing two bigs together. I think spacing is going to be huge against this Orlando defense. And the half-court set, we mentioned it yesterday, the third best defensive rating. They are long, they are athletic, their wingspan stretch side to side. I think spacing is going to be crucial to allow Donovan and Darius to pick their spots in the pick and roll, get in, create chaos, and then kick out to the corners. So I'm not sure I trust Evan Mobley's long-term viability in this series alongside Jared Allen. But as the one big, I actually do think I trust Evan Mobley to get his in the series.
They're not going to do just one. You would think that they would because they got enough analytics to know that they're better with one big.
If Isaac's making shots, they're playing one big.
I don't know what.
If Niang's making shots,
they're
playing one big.
Do I trust, like.
So yes or no, Tyvis?
We're not going to electrocute you if you get this wrong.
No, because I
Yes,
just.
we will.
No, I don't trust him.
It's fair.
I don't trust him.
Why
No.
don't you trust him?
I just think like they gonna do the two big thing. He's gonna get overshadowed. Back in the season, and I know the postseason and the regular season are two totally different things. But for a while, the pick and roll with him and Darius was great. They was something that was building, and then that kind of fell apart, and it's not that effective anymore. And I just don't think he's consistent. Like I don't think consistently. Going up against that Orlando team, he's probably going to be the tallest calf out there. And I just don't trust him in the paint to be all that physically dominant. And I just don't think he's going to make the shots that he needs to make. And I think that's when he doesn't make those shots, that's going to cause the biggest problem. So at this moment, I don't trust him right now.
So 2 yeses and a no for Evan Mobley. And who's up next?
All right, we're sticking with the core four. Darius Garland, how are you guys feeling about him?
I went back and forth on this one, and it pains me to say I'm a no.
That's 2 no's.
I'm a no. Listen, as soon as Earl took him off his parlay list, when he got put on the no parlay, and Lil Titty came on and told us he can't bet on him, we couldn't trust Darius Garland to be consistent on a game-in, game-out basis in the regular season against an elite defense with two elite defensive players in Jonathan Isaac and Jalen Suggs going against him on a night-to-night basis. I trust him to have a couple of big games in the series. I don't trust him for 7 games. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I trust him in spurts. I just don't trust him overall. He's been too consistent all year.
He hit the big shot at the end of the Indiana game.
Yeah.
So he can hit a big shot in a big moment, but he's had a bad year. He's just had a really bad year. And he makes bad decisions with the ball at key moments this year, and it's hard to trust that. So, I said it in February that he wouldn't be in my closing lineup right now. And I don't think he would be right. And I know I just said he hit the big shot against Indiana. But if there's other guys who are making shots, I don't know that I trust him to be on the floor at the end of games. And that's crazy. He's the highest paid player in the history of the team. It's crazy to be saying that, and I'm sure he will be on the floor at the end.
But you're not sure if it's the best.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best lineup for them.
Ty 3 for 3 on the nose.
It hurts me.
That's your guy.
That's like, y'all know that's my favorite Cavs player, but he's been unrecognizable. Now, don't get me wrong, he's played better on the last, 3 games, 2 games maybe. He's played better, but he went like 7 games where he didn't even scratch 10 points. Yeah. So it's just and the playoff, and then on top of that, it's not like he's the best defender. He's like the biggest defensive liability. So if you're not scoring and you ain't playing defense and you turning the ball over, that's right now it's hard. And don't get me wrong, I know that you got it in you. I know you can boom and you can be a spark plug, you can make plays, you can facilitate. But if I'm going off of just recent memory right now, if I'm going off of how you've been playing lately, I can't.
Tough.
Right now, it's tough for me to trust you. I want you to be, because you're my favorite player. I want you to be that guy. I want you to come out there and do some dribbling stuff, put people on, throw some oops, hit the big trays. I want to see all those things. I know you can. Get to the hold and finish. I think that's the biggest thing that you don't have this year is the ability to finish at the cup. But if you do it in this series, I flip this back to this quick. But right now, it's got to be this.
And let's run through these last couple pretty quickly.
All right, next one up, Jared Allen.
Big yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I'm a yes after last year, but I'm a yes.
He's done everything in his
funny.
power capable of redeeming himself from last season's postseason collapse up until the point where we're at now. He can't erase it until he shows it in the playoffs, but he has done literally every single thing right from where he was last year at the lowest of lows to now entering the postseason at the highest of highs. I have no reason not to trust him other than last year's playoffs was a collapse.
Perfectly said. That's exactly how I feel.
Next up,
Up next, Max Strus.
big time yes.
Yes.
Travis, why?
I like Max Strus because, first of all, he's played in these moments before. Last year with the Heat in the postseason, he was phenomenal. He wants to get back to there. He has that experience. But the thing that I like about him the most is that y'all tell me he was the most upset about the tanking thing. So if that's the case, he gonna come out because to him that's a loser's mentality. Right now we need championship DNA. We need championship caliber, and I think that he's gonna be the one because he's probably on this team the most experienced guy.
Tristan. What? Who's the most experienced guy?
I can't believe I forgot he was even on the team.
He's gonna play.
I know he is.
He's
but
gonna play.
How has he been since he been off that stuff?
Well,
Not as good.
We'll get to that. We'll get to him here.
Jason, you said yes too.
yeah, for a lot of, this is why they brought him here, right? Like they brought him here for postseason experience for this moment to be an upgrade over Isaac, and then Isaac had a great year, but like he was brought here for moments like this. His shooting, he's not an elite shooter by any means, but we talked about on the podcast, him and Donovan have this little pick and roll game going, this little two-man action that is really hard for teams to guard.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the numbers lately. There was a point where they were the best two-man, or one of the best top 5 two-man combos in the league when they're on the floor together. So they just run a lot of actions. There's a lot of comfortability. And, I absolutely. The guy who went to the finals was a key piece. The team went to the finals. Yeah, you certainly trust him in a first-round matchup against Orlando.
One sentence. We have to see Isaac hit those shots
Yeah.
before we can believe it. We've seen Max hit those shots, not just in the first round of the playoffs, but in the second round, the third round, and the NBA Finals. Next up, Ant.
Up next, Karis LeVert. That's a no from Mike. That's a yes from Tyvis, and a no from Jason.
Y'all sick.
You start.
Listen, man, you need some spark off the bench. I know Karras hasn't been playing. He went from a guy that we argued about being a potential sixth man of the year, and lately it hasn't been the same. I think that Karras is up to the challenge. Coming off the bench, I don't know who's the Magic's best players off the bench is, but
Cole Anthony.
Man, yeah. I like Karras overall because Karras is a 3-level scorer and he facilitates. I think you need that. Essentially, he could be the spark plug. I trust Karras to come off the bench.
I don't trust him because I don't know which version of Karras you're
That
going
is true.
That's
very true.
I love and I trust good Karras. I don't want to see bad Karras on my team. That is a very difficult thing. And you just don't.
They're
you don't
motivated.
know.
They're getting out the first round. I'm just telling you. So, Karras, you're going to get the best version of Karras.
I hope so. Good Karras, great. Bad Karras, yikes. And who's next?
All right, next up, Georges Niang. I can't
trust
see that, Tyvis.
I
That's a
think
yes.
we all do. We all.
Yes from everybody.
It's the playoff. Listen, he has 46 playoff games under his belt.
And he's had some really bad moments this year.
He's been up and down. He gets hot. He goes cold. He's streaky. But I go back to the two things I've said. A, he's got 46 playoff games. He's made shots in big-time playoff moments. And two, I cannot emphasize enough. I think spacing in this series is going to be so crucial to what the Cavs do if they're going to have any success against this Magic defense. And I don't think the two big lineups are going to – if JB wants to do it, fine. He's going to start with it. We're going to see that first rotation come in. They have to make shots. And if Dean Wade's not healthy, and it sucked. This series was exactly when they need Dean Wade.
Yes.
They miss Dean Wade. For this series in specific, he is such a big loss for them. Because he's not there, George is going to get minutes. And it may be 3 minutes, you miss 2 shots, George, you don't play again. But you need that spacing from a 4, and I just like his playoff experience. Maybe I'm a little, not biased, but a little
Biased.
Optimist.
Yeah, I do like George.
Optimist.
Optimistic because of the playoff experience, but I just think he's going to play a crucial part in this series, and I like the fact he's been in these moments before.
What he said.
George going to come in there and hit 3 threes and change the whole game. So
We got 2 more, Anthony. We'll bring in our guests. We'll run through these real quick.
All right, real quick. Tristan Thompson. Talked about him earlier.
Wait a minute. Is he on or off the stuff?
This
I
is
believe he
current
is off the
Tristan, so
stuff
he's
as right
off
now.
the steroids.
You know what? Physicality. At least he's going to
Yeah.
be physical in there. He's going to bring the attitude. They will not get punked around when he's out there. So
Correct.
I'll give him that right there. Bam.
Talk about finals experience. He's got a championship. He's a locker room leader, vocal guy. I was glad to see him. when
We
he
ain't
came
going to
back.
hear about the lights being too bright.
No,
Because he
you
ain't going for that.
You will not hear that. And for what he can provide this team, absolutely. This is not 2016 Tristan anymore,
Yeah.
but I absolutely trust him.
His role is to be a great locker room guy and provide toughness. It's not to make free throws late in the game. So for that, I do trust Tristan Thompson to do exactly that. And last one, Ant.
All right, last one. We'll get more into him later, but Sam Merrill. Just give me a quick yes or no, and we'll get into him after.
No.
I don't know how much he going to play.
I'll say we're going to do this after
Yeah,
we
we'll-
bring in our
we'll
guest
save
in
the
one second, so I'll
details for
save it.
later.
But just remember, I had yes, these 2 had no. And let's get a read. Let's welcome Kendra Douglas to the show.
Yeah, before Kendra joins us today, guys, it is playoff time in the NBA, NHL, and baseball is in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
And with that, let's welcome in Kendra Douglas. She is a team reporter for the Orlando Magic. Kendra, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking some time to join the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. I was hearing a little bit about what you guys were saying about, some of the guys coming off the bench for us. And Cole Anthony is definitely someone who's been consistent off the bench for us. But I'm good. I'm excited, and I'm ready to come to Cleveland.
Awesome. Well, Kendra, I want to start with this. The Cavs said it was part of their plan. Some people interpreted that differently, to play 4 bigs and Amani Bates in the fourth quarter of their last regular season game to avoid a potential matchup with Philly or Miami. That set up the Magic in their first round series. So I'm curious, from the Magic standpoint, are they taking that as a personal shot at them as the team the Cavs wanted to play in the first round?
I don't think so. I think that they're taking it with the whole mindset that they made it to the playoffs. I think everyone's mindset this year was playoff or bust. That was just it. So I think they were going to be excited to play against anybody. And I think against Cleveland, they know that they split the series and they have a good chance in this one. So I don't necessarily think that they are kind of all right, cool, we see you. But I do think that it adds some energy to this playoff round. And
For sure.
I mean, I'm excited to see what, happens, especially on Saturday. But we did all watch, we watched and we saw what happened. And we were just I guess, all right.
Kendra, give me a player on this Cavs team that you feel concerned about, that scares you a little bit outside of Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, I was going to be the one, just because I think that, he has been in and out this season. But one that I guess also scares me, well, when he gets going on threes, Max is definitely someone that I think you hold your breath on and you're just I hope he misses that one. So probably Max on that one. I know you guys were talking about Dean Wade and just, how his what's going on with him if he's healthy. But I will say, I think for me, I covered Dean Wade actually when he was in college. So I kind of knew his game and knew what he was coming into. So even before we got to this playoffs, he was one guy who I knew, once he gets going, once he's healthy, once he's strong, he's someone to also be very nervous about as well.
Kendra, Mike and I did a playoff preview Cavs show a couple days ago, and one player on the Magic that I think a lot of Cavs fans aren't aware of is Jonathan Isaac. Can you just explain to people what the Cavs have to deal with Isaac? Just because he's been hurt so much, he's not Paolo Banchero, he's not one of their top name guys for a casual fan to know. But Mike and I are aware of how ruthless he can be defensively.
It's crazy you say that too, because a couple of years ago he was that guy that everyone knew. So, but because of injuries, it kind of, he kind of went into the back a little bit. But Jonathan Isaac, the minister of defense, he is someone who just has shown that when he is healthy, when he is able to get out there, he is dangerous. I mean, against the Bucks, he was locking guys up, and you were so excited to see that he finally was getting this opportunity and this chance to show what he can do on this court. And we're talking to him in the beginning of the season, and he told me he feels young. He feels springy again. He feels like he can just go out there like his rookie year in a sense. And when he said that, I was like, oh, this is going to be a dangerous man come the time that we need him. And this is the perfect time that we need Jonathan Isaac to stay healthy, to be in this position. So he is someone I would consider as a sneaky person for the Magic, because he is very dangerous on defense.
Yeah, he guards 1 through 5. It's incredible what he's done over the last couple of weeks. He might be the most dangerous defensive weapon in all of basketball when he's healthy, which is crazy for a guy who plays 20-ish minutes a game. I wanted to ask you about another Magic player, though, Kendra. Franz Wagner was a guy who came into this season with a ton of expectations. He still scored about 20 points per game, but his three-point shooting over the last couple of months has kind of gone MIA. He shot just 18% from beyond the arc in the month of March. So are you guys confident, or the Magic confident he'll refine that shooting stroke, or is at this point kind of just a lost cause for Franz Wagner from 3 in this season?
I think you always have the mindset that they're going to find it. Once they get into the groove, you're going to find it. But I also think with him, he's been challenged to kind of be a leader and kind of also work on his defense. So you saw a little bit of that this season too. Just, yeah, he might not be making the shots that you want him to see, but seeing him on defense and how he's handling other teams, you can see how much he's grown. You can see how much he is as a leader. So I think what you're going to see is someone, once he gets hot, yeah, he's very hard to stop shooting a 3, but he's also finding ways to help this team out in other aspects than just offensively. And I think that's kind of how you're going to see him make up for the shots that he's not taking.
Kendra, Paolo Banchero, he's obviously been the bright spot and the big star on the team. How do you think he'll do? I think is this his first year in the playoffs, right? His first playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you're worried about, or do you think he'll excel, during his first time in the playoffs?
It's funny. I said in his when the NBA came and did a story on him, they asked me about Paolo, and I said pressure makes diamonds, and this man is ready for it. He's come into this second year just really outdoing what he did the first year, but I think that's what he lives for. I think he lives for these challenges, knowing that his rookie year is behind him. He's got to elevate himself. He's got to help elevate this team. And I think that he's looking forward to this challenge. And I think he's going to do well. I don't think you're going to see someone who is going to, be too shy within the big bright lights of what's going to happen in the playoffs, or the fact that he's made it to the playoffs. He said it's playoff or bust. He's helped this team get to this point. He is an all-star. He's made it to the point where he can say, I want our team to do this. We need to do this. So no, I think this is just going to be another game for him, but knowing what the stakes are. So I don't think it's going to be too big for him.
Has Jamal talked about his relationship with JB Bickerstaff at all? I know they've been close friends forever. Jamal came from here. He was an assistant here for a while. I got to know him when he was here. I love Jamal. I'm just wondering the influence he's had on that team, and then if he's discussed with you guys at all his relationship with JB.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about it yesterday. He said they're really good friends. They spend time together, and I think they're not communicating at all through this playoff. They realize and understand what's at stake. They can't be friends right now, but yeah, I think they both talked a little bit about it, just how much they're close. But it's cool to see the respect between those coaches, but you also know the fight that they're both going to go through and making sure their teams come out with a win in each game. So I think they're not going to be communicating. You're not going to see any friends for this playoff until after the first round.
We talked about Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac and how good Orlando's half-court defense is a little bit earlier, and we kind of assume that when you get to the playoffs, opposing defenses, they'll try to blitz off pick and rolls, get the ball to the other team's best players' hands. But between Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac and Gary Harris and Wagner, Orlando has a bunch of different weapons they can kind of guard Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland with off a pick-and-roll situation. I know you're not in the coaching room, but you know Orlando much better than we do. Would you anticipate Coach Mosley and that staff trying to play pick-and-rolls more straight up and letting Suggs just kind of hound Donovan as opposed to switching and allowing Cleveland to attack the mismatch they want?
Oh, you're trying to get me to like give you guys no. What if people are watching this and they're gonna be like,
There's a lot of people watching, Kendra, so might as well tell you. Might as well tell
No,
them
it's
other
just
secrets.
it's just between you and us.
We'll cut this
It's
part of the
just
show. Don't
no
worry.
one else is watching. It's
No,
just
we'll,
the three
we'll
of
cut
us.
this part of the show. Don't worry.
Right. Here's what I'll say. I'll say that I think that Coach Mosley has a lot of trust in Jalen Suggs and what he's going to be doing out there defensively. I think that he's ready for all mismatches that come his way. And so I'll just leave it at that. I think that, this is a team. This is a team that, like, they know what to expect. They know what they're going to look out for. And I think you're going to see Jalen Suggs really show why he deserves to be an all-defensive team player.
I had to try. Kendra, other question than this one, I feel like you can answer in a little more depth without giving away secrets. But this is Orlando's first time, outside of Joe Ingles, really the first time that any of these guys have had a playoff experience. Do they expect to win this series? I know we saw Cleveland come in last year against New York, and then it collapsed in epic fashion, and Jared Allen said, well, the lights were too bright. They weren't ready for that moment. Do you get the sense that this young Orlando squad is ready for this stage?
I do. I think because you can see how much they've really just locked in with each other. The biggest thing that I think I took away from this whole season is what we did during the trade deadline, which was nothing. And I think that was the instinct that we are trusting you guys. We are believing in you guys. We are putting all our energy in you guys to get us to this point. And so I definitely think that, this is, they always say that, like, the NBA is a business. Well, this team will tell you it's more like a brotherhood. I think they fight for one another. I think they're going to push each other. Playoffs are a different level and a different beast. I will say that. I'm not disagreeing with that. They are going to have to rise to the occasion and understand that they are on a whole different level now. This isn't the regular season. But I do believe that this team is at the point now where they're ready for this. They're ready for this bright light. They're ready for this big stage. And I do think that they are going to come away with winning this series. Sorry, guys. I do think that they are going to win this series and move forward.
Well, Kendra, since you saying that they're going to win the series, I just want to know who you got for game one.
Magic.
Wow. Wait a minute. What is your series count? What's the final series for you? Like, what do you?
I think we got I think Magic in 5, but I think
Magic.
Whoa.
Am I hurting people's feelings?
So the Cavs go win one game?
I think here's the thing. I think that this team is going to come in looking to bust through. I think that this team just is going to be coming out the gate strong. One of the things Coach Mosley has said is that as long as we work hard on the first quarter and we start game strong, it's very hard to really beat this team. And if you've noticed them, if they win the third quarter, if they are outscore a team by third quarter, they will always win that game. I think the only one time that they've lost that is in Atlanta, and that was in Mexico City. So this team has really shown that if they can lock in, they are going to do very well. So I think that's what I think. Maybe I'm just super excited because we made it. Maybe that's the case.
I'm gonna let you know something. If the Magic win this thing in 5, it's gonna be some furniture moving in Cleveland. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. It's gonna be over with.
What do you think? Okay, so what do you guys think?
I picked Cavs in 6.
I got Cavs in 6 too.
Cavs in 6 or 7.
Orlando's tough. Orlando's tough, and a lot of this comes down to guys' first playoff experience. Are they ready for the moment? Cleveland learned the hard way last year. These Orlando guys have to prove they can make shots in the postseason before you can fully buy in. Jason?
We've been kind of talking around this. I'm just curious. Is this team early or are they on time? Do you think that this team arrived early? Have they been a surprise, and even in Orlando kind of appearing here before people thought they were ready? Or is this the progression that they expected?
I think they're on time. I think they're on time. And the reason why is because if you look at the past 2 years and what Coach Mosley has done, you needed the team to buy into his system. Then you needed the team to continue to buy into his system, but take what they learned and grow from there. And now they are taking what they have learned and they have made it to this point. I think this is on time for this team. I don't think this is too early. I think now he's laid the foundation. Like he said, defense is what this team relies on, what they stand on. They understand that. So I think this is on time for this Magic group to get to this point.
Kendra, last question. We'll get you out of here. Thanks again for joining us today. We're going to do a topic tomorrow. What concerns us most about the Magic? So I'm curious from your standpoint, what about the Cavaliers should concern the Orlando team most?
Donovan Mitchell, that's one. And then also the way you guys cut and the way your defense is too. I think that's one thing that has hurt us within the times that they have lost. So I would imagine that's something that we are going to be looking out for and trying to change. It seems like when you guys are when playing zone, it seems to not go into our favor. So that's kind of the things that I think this team is going to look out for come Saturday.
Awesome. Kendra, very much appreciate you making some time to join us today. We will see you at Game 1 up here in Cleveland Saturday, 1 o'clock tip. That is Kendra Douglas.
Cavs and 6.
She picked the Magic. She is a Magic team reporter. But Kendra, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one. Awesome. Well, Game 1, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock Saturday.
ESPN, Cavs Magic.
It's
we'll
not
be there.
True TV. How about that?
Well, it's the 1 o'clock.
It's
ESPN
Saturday?
slot.
It's a national holiday.
It is. Ant, we got to read them and move on.
Yeah, before we get back to Sam Merrill, I just want to remind you guys, my competitive side is a huge fan of Monopoly Go. That was a weird transition. I'm so sorry. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not only one, but 100 of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part, messing with your friends. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but now I can also rob their vaults for riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who has the biggest Monopoly tycoon of them all. So get in on the game and join your friends. You guys can download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play.
Sam Merrill made 11 threes this season against the Orlando Magic. He had his best game of the season against the Orlando Magic. He has been a roller coaster ride of minutes for JB Bickerstaff this season, coming off the bench, playing 20, 25 minutes a game, then having 4 or 5 DMPs back to back to back to back. Jason, I stressed this during the segment we did before Kendra joined us. Spacing is key against the Orlando Magic. So I will ask you this question. Does Sam Merrill have a role in this Cavs rotation or against Orlando in the first round?
Not yet, but he could. He's not going to be at the start. Now, if Isaac's missing shots, if Bad Karras shows up, if Yang's over 3, Sam Merrill's going to get minutes in the series, and then it's up to him. So I don't trust him because, number one, I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. He's clearly the 10th man in this rotation, 11th man in this rotation, and you're probably going to play 8.
8.5.
Yeah. 9, trust 8. You play 9 and you trust 8 type thing. And it's different. Like we talked about it with Okoro, and it's different hitting shots in April than it is in January and February. And Sam Merrill's a terrific shooter, and if he gets hot, he could make a name for himself in this series. I don't know that he's going to get the minutes and the opportunity, and then without having seen him do it before, it's just hard. Like if you're giving me 4 or 5 shooters on the list that I'm trusting just because of the stakes and the guys that have been here before, he would be last on my list. But he also has, just because he hasn't done it, but he also has the opportunity, to jump to number 1 on that list. If he gets hot, he's making shots.
I trust him for one game. I think he'll have one game where he'll really hit a lot of threes. He'll come in and be a spark, hit some threes because, like you say, Niang and everybody else isn't hitting the threes. Okoro isn't hitting threes. He'll come in. He'll hit like 3 or 4 of them. But then after that, he might go get 1 a game.
Let me tell you, I actually think I have more faith in Sam Merrill this series than I probably should, A, and then B, you guys for sure. He was 11 and 19 from 3 against Orlando in 2 games this season. We just showed the highlights. He had 6 threes in 1 game at 26 points. Absolutely cooked them. That was the first game I can remember where they ran a Donovan Mitchell, Sam Merrill little pick and roll against Jalen Suggs, and it had him in hell. He didn't know what to do. He took 1 half baby step to the left. Sam Merrill slid out for a little pop-up 3, and he was too late to recover because Sam Merrill's trigger is so quick. I think JB, and I'm serious about this, I think he has to find minutes for Sam Merrill in the first or second quarter just to see how he's shooting. If he makes 1 or 2, you let him play more. If he misses the first 2, not his day, take him out. But unlike some other matchups Cleveland could have had in the first round, if Sam's on the court, the opponent is going to isolate him out defensively. However, I don't think there's anyone in Orlando's backcourt that I'm particularly worried about Sam Merrill trying to stay in front of. If you're telling me he has to guard Gary Harris, like, I'm okay with that. If he's guarding even Jalen Suggs to an extent, like, Jalen's a good offensive player, but if Jalen wants to go one-on-one all game, I think you live with that from the Cavaliers' standpoint. So I think his offense and his ability to stretch the floor and space the court to allow Darius and Donovan to do more is crucial. He has to prove he can make those shots, granted, but I don't think teams can take advantage of him like a New York could, like an Indiana could, like even a Milwaukee could, or Boston definitely could take advantage of Sam on the other end of the court. So I'm a little more inclined to give him a little longer leash early in the game to see if he can have one of those flamethrower nights where he goes 6 of 10 for 3 in 12 minutes of game action.
I don't want to boil it down to one stat or one category. I tend to feel that whoever shoots better from 3 is going to win the series.
Yeah.
Like, it really is that. These are two, and we've talked about it before, that these are two defensive-minded teams, but defense isn't necessarily what gets you to win playoff games in series. It's shot making. You got to make shots. And that's what there is nothing wrong with the Cavs defensively. Go back and look at the Knicks scoring totals from those games. The Cavs defense was fine. It was their inability to make shots is what cost them that series. And here they are against another tough, physical, defensive-minded team in Orlando, where it's going to come down to shot making. And we talked about it on the podcast. Orlando doesn't really have a ton of great shooters that you really have to fear from the three-point line. The Cavs, I believe, are the better shooting team. That's why I'm picking them. But I just think it's probably the way I'm sitting here now, 2 days out from the start of the series, whoever shoots it better from 3, probably going to win the series.
I like that, actually. I never thought about it from that standpoint. That was the one thing that we were missing, and they are pretty even when it comes to shooting threes. Listen, Sam Merrill, like I said, he's going to have a good game, one good game. But if he comes out and be that spark and they do 5 minutes for him and he hitting like that, I think the Cavs, my Cavs in 6 will go to Cavs in 4.
Sometimes all you need is 1-3.
Yeah.
That's all you – go back and look at the Game 7 when the Cavs won the championship against Golden State. They couldn't make a friggin' shot, and JR hit like 2 threes. No, and it's all they needed.
Game 7 when they beat – that's when Draymond looked like Steph Curry from Trey.
Draymond is just one game he shot 3s at
my goodness.
But that – like JR hit like 2 threes that just settled in the second half.
That's what he was
kept them within range, settled everybody down. Sometimes in the playoff game – everything can turn on 1 or 2 baskets. That's all you need is just 1 or 2 big baskets.
Are you saying Sam Merrill is too big?
No, I don't think he'll be the one to hit him. But he could.
Well, he could be. It has to be somebody.
He's got the him and I mean, Karras probably. Who
it's going to be? Darius Garland.
Could be.
I hope so.
Number 10. Do your thing.
Jason's mentioned this a few times. If you missed the Ultimate Cavs show from Tuesday, go back. We went way more in depth than we kind of have on any specific game.
Mike did
this
an
season.
Unbelievable job with film breakdown of Paolo Banchero and tendencies and weaknesses and what to look for with him. It was fascinating. He does a phenomenal job. I turn my computer on, sit down, and start talking, and this man puts in hours of work on film.
I appreciate that, but go check it out on Tuesday. One thing, and this brings back to this conversation, and I'm going to mention Paolo to bring back to where we're talking about with Sam Merrill and what Kendra mentioned. Paolo's their best offensive player by far. Yeah. It's not really close. He averages 23 points a game. Yeah. He's the best player, best offensive player, all the above. He takes a ton of long twos. That's kind of his game. He's not really a three-point shooter. He wants to get to the cup. If he's driving right, if he's dribbling with his right hand, he's going to the cup. He wants to drive every time. If he hits it in the left hand, he wants to do a little step-back jumper. Like, it's not crazy rocket science. That's just kind of how Paolo attacks.
That's what Mike said
you can't
about
let
LeBron.
And I mentioned to Jason, there's a little tiny shade of LeBron and Paolo, a tiny little shade. You can't let the other guys on Orlando beat you. If Paolo wants to make 15 step-back twos, throw your hand up, tip your cap, Paolo, congratulations. But you can't let Gary Harris and Jalen Suggs and Caleb Houston and Wendell Carter and Franz Wagner and Joe Ingles get open looks on the perimeter that end up killing you. And we looked at their numbers. They don't have a single player on the roster shooting over 40% from 3 that takes at least 3 a game. That's not a high volume in today's day and age, Tyvus. That's a low volume. They don't have a single player at 40% or better from 3 who takes at least 3 threes per game. If Paolo wants to get his, fine, so be it. The other guys aren't the ones that can beat you, in my opinion. They can only make so many long twos. That's not going to beat you. The other guys can't be the ones to do it.
I'm still going back to three-point shooting because I was thinking back to the Knicks series last year, and it was rebounding, and they knew it. The Cavs
my
But
God.
the Cavs knew going into that series that they were at a disadvantage and they were going to have to control the glass. I don't know that it's rebounding this. I do worry about them getting pushed around inside a little bit.
Do
because
you?
Orlando's big.
a good rebounding team.
Orlando's big.
I hear you, but
But it just
there's
feels
no way that they gonna do it again.
It just feels like 3-point, and maybe I'm way off, and rebounding is going to tell the tale again. But I just feel like it's going to come down to 3-point shooting. Cavs have far more of it now than they did last year.
Orlando's 7th in the NBA in defensive rebounding rate, 2nd in offensive rebounding rate.
So they're good on the glass.
Cavs were 14th and 22nd, by the way.
They better go old school basketball 1-on-1. When the ball goes up, find your dude, turn around and box out. That's where we should be at.
And I also want to see him run, push the pace. Got to get out in transition. That half-court defense for Orlando is very difficult to match up with. And speaking of matchups, Ant, this next clip from LeBron, it's going to be a hell of a tease, was all about one specific matchup. Give us a read. I'll tell you what happens next.
Yeah, before we get into the LeBron clip, I want to remind everybody that UCSS couldn't exist without the help of sponsors like Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you guys find your financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com.
So if you guys haven't seen the LeBron James, JJ Redick podcast, I would highly recommend it. It is basketball, X's and O's, to the top, to the T. They are phenomenal at it. And Jason, have you seen this clip about LeBron breaking down? We'll show it in a sec. But this was Game 2, 2009.
I was there.
Magic Cavs.
I was covering that game.
Jason was there. They drew up a play for LeBron. He ends up hitting the game winner, but the play did not go as designed.
The one at the
crazy
buzzer
beater?
Yeah.
Did not go
What
as
a
designed.
time to be alive.
Here's LeBron
Was that the only
describing
game
that
we
play
won?
from his own 2009.
Was that the only one we won in that series? Didn't we lose 4-1?
4-1, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's LeBron describing that play, and then Jason, you were there, so I'm curious to see what you remember versus how LeBron remembers, and then we'll talk about it for a sec. And play with you.
In game, Game 2, one of your most iconic shots.
What game?
Game 2, 2009 Conference Finals.
Oh, yeah.
Over
Orlando. Yeah.
I have a question about that play, because that is an example of a off-ball movement, catch and shoot three.
Yep.
So, if I remember correctly, Mo was taking it out.
Yep.
Delonte set like a flare screen for Ilgauskas.
Yep.
Right here. I think it was Pavlovich just kind of ran to the ball.
Yep.
And you were over here on this elbow. You actually never got a screen on that play.
No, because I was supposed to. The play was to fake up and go backdoor for the lob, and Turk played it. And Turk played it perfectly.
Okay.
So I faked up, and I tried to go back for the lob, and I said it's not open. It's not open. So I just came to the ball.
And Turk fucked that up.
Yeah.
My only issue on that play.
I didn't even see Richard. He had a hell of a contest.
Yes.
He was guarding the ball.
He was guarding Mo, yeah.
Yeah, he was guarding the ball. I didn't see it until after the fact. I never saw him. But
you only saw Turk.
Only saw Turk.
End game, Game 2.
A heady play from LeBron on the fly to read the defense, readjust, and make a shot like that. Jason, you were there. That was the first legit dominant, LeBron buzzer beater we had seen up to that point on a stage of that caliber. Does what he described ring home the same way you remember it?
It's fun. I didn't know that it was a busted play because I remember. I mean, in the moment, you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe you made that shot. It was unbelievable. And everything happened so fast.
That went crazy.
Yeah, everything happened so fast. I was not covering them on a day-to-day basis. I was working for the Associated Press at the time, just stringing, running quotes and that. And so I didn't really know him yet. And to hear him break that down, that's Hito Turkoglu had an incredible series. He destroyed the Cavs.
Yes, he did.
In that series. But when you look at the play, it wasn't much of a play. It wasn't a lot of high level. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of high level coming off screens or anything like that. And now you know why, because that wasn't how the play was supposed to be run. But he was so good, he just adjusted.
That right there is called turning golden out of nothing. I mean, that right there, to be that aware. I mean, you know that you're getting the ball. First of all, Hito must know. He must watch film or something like that. Was that something that they was trying to do a lot? Like, I mean,
they were down 1, which does make a difference. They were down 1. They only needed a 2.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you would – if I'm Hito, I'm thinking to myself, I ain't letting him go to the cup at all.
Yeah.
So he did the right thing and made him do something that maybe at that time LeBron wasn't like the greatest three-point shooter in the world. But for LeBron to have a heads-up play like, oh, man, they still want me to get the ball. Like, me and the inbounder is looking at each other. So I got to get the ball. I'm the man. I got to take the shot. So for him to flash up and get that with that little bit of space and get that shot off, it just shows how good of a player he is.
Well, it's the funniest thing to me watching LeBron and JJ break that down was hearing the other 4 guys on the court. Like, there was no other option. It was LeBron.
Delonte, Ilgauskas, Sasha.
You remember Sasha Pavlovic?
Well,
First of all, I'm sick of this disrespect. What do you mean it wasn't nobody? Zadrunas Ilgauskas was out there, and if Big Z got that ball, Z was going to pop it. It would have been good. So, first of all, put some respect on the second. Is he still the second leading scorer in Cavs history?
Z?
Yeah, or did Kyrie beat him?
No, Kyrie's not 2. Is he 2?
He was. That's why he got his jersey in the round.
Passed him
No,
since,
he's
that's
the
for sure.
all-time leader in games played.
Z is?
Yeah.
Maybe he's second in scoring. I don't know. No, he's not second.
I'm going to look it up.
I'll look it up.
He's not second in scoring.
But to hear that lineup and then just to think, and Z obviously can play, but, like, let's be honest here, guys. LeBron carried those teams.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Making the finals in 07, I know it was a sweep. They lost. That might be the most impressive feat of his career, in all honesty. Like, that and beating the 17
Say it
Warriors.
again. Who is
Incredible.
What that
Big
say?
Z is number 2.
second. All right.
Stop playing with.
10,660
I better stop playing with Z.
I thought one of the guys in the 70s were.
Stop playing with Z.
No, he was a great player. He was a terrific player. And not to go off on a Z tangent, but all the foot problems that he had early in his career, that's why the all-time games played meant so much to him.
Yeah.
Because he never thought he was going to last that long.
And you know what shoe he probably was wearing? Some bronze. He would have definitely hit the shot. I would have gave it to Z.
But, and that, to your point, that's what Jerry West, when we were talking to Jerry West, the year the Cavs came back from 3-1-1, Jerry was so angry that LeBron takes so much crap for his finals record because he said, how many series was he favored in? And, the Dallas one you put on LeBron, that was LeBron.
That's 100% him.
That was on him. But everything else, I don't know that they were – I think he's only been favored in like 2 series.
2 of the 10, right?
Yeah, something like that. And I think OKC, they were favored.
OKC.
Miami was favored over OKC.
When the Lakers won it, was he favored against Miami?
I don't remember.
Yeah, they're favored over Miami. Yeah.
Okay, so that would be 2. And,
And
then
then,
I think there was a third.
They're favored over Dallas. That's the third.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the third.
But
I
the
think
San
that's
Antonio
it.
ones, they were.
I think that's it.
He wasn't favored over San Antonio?
Maybe the first time, but
don't think so.
definitely not
That's
the
kind
second
of
time.
wild, actually. I would have thought they would be. That was when they was rolling.
Yeah, but San Antonio was really good.
San Antonio was good. That, to be honest with you,
Kawhi, Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili.
if Ray Allen didn't hit that 3,
That Orlando series, that 09 Orlando series was wild because the Cavs were geared. I'm trying to think back. They never, losing to Orlando was not an option. Like, no one ever thought that was.
In 09. That
in
series
09.
right there.
Yeah.
Where we lost 4-1.
Nobody thought that was possible. And then they went out and got Shaq for
Yeah.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah, they did.
In 10, and they didn't even get there.
Then they had a best record.
They
that
lost
year?
to Boston in the second round in 10, and then he was out. But that 09 series caught a lot of people by surprise. Yeah. Nobody thought
because
they were losing that series.
everybody at that point, everybody wanted to see Kobe versus LeBron.
Kobe.
Like, that was
And the Lakers made it.
The Lakers made it, and didn't they beat them 4-0?
4-1.
4-1.
And LeBron has said one of his big regrets in his career is never facing Kobe in the finals. And he said, I messed that up. That 09 is what he's talking about, that 09 season when they didn't
you
get
can't
there.
put that on him, though.
No, those guys, that's how they carry
He
it.
did what he
But, when you look around at what else he had to work with.
Now, the one year where we beat the Celtics, he went crazy that year.
When Cleveland beat the Celtics?
Yeah.
The second time around.
Yeah. When he dunked on KG.
That wasn't the second time around.
That wasn't the
that was the
second.
first-
That was
that
the
was-
first time around?
Yeah, KG wasn't on the Celtics in 16 or 17.
No, that was the first time. And they couldn't beat that team.
Well, you're thinking when he was on the Heat. That's why.
No.
When he dunked on Jason Terry?
No, I said KG. That was the first time around.
Oh, yeah.
KG definitely wasn't on
Yeah,
Boston.
KG was gone by the time he came back here, and they had those playoff matchups the second time.
Because he came back in 15, right?
That man,
14.
LeBron been playing for too long, man. He got his season starting to run together.
That clip was from 16 seasons ago. Think about that. 15 seasons ago. It was 09. 08, 09.
Yeah, LeBron. Well, he got to play 2 more years. So I don't think Bronny get drafted this year, but
I'm telling you,
he get
Bronny will be in the NBA next year. I'm telling you.
You think so? Averaging 4.9 points a game.
He'll be in the NBA next year.
And let's get a read. Let's talk some Guardians here.
Yeah, guys, before we get into Guardians, I want to let everybody know that actually there's a time change to the Ultimate Guardians with Zach and Bull. It will be regularly at 10 a.m. on Mondays now for the entire summer. So look for that over. You can subscribe to the channel, so anytime they go live, you know that they're going live. But 10 a.m. on Mondays is going to be the new regular Ultimate Guardians time. Look forward to that coming.
So we started the show an hour and 35 minutes ago, Jason. Mm-hmm. If we were the Boston Red Sox Cleveland Guardians game from yesterday, we would be in the bottom of the 9th inning.
That's crazy.
That game took an hour and 47 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a 2-0 shutout. Tanner, is it pronounced Hawk? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I call it Huck, but I'm not sure.
Hawk.
I'm a writer. I'm not a TV guy, although I guess I'm.
Tanner H.
Enunciations don't matter.
You're converting into it.
However you pronounce it, Tanner H. threw a 3-hit shutout, 9 strikeouts against the Guardians. He was absolutely dealing yesterday. He was tremendous. And one of the runs that Boston scored came on a balk. Ben Lively made a spot start for the Guardians. He also pitched very well. We'll talk about him in a sec. But from an offensive standpoint, Jason, and we'll get to the balk and the other side in a sec. They're coming off a great extra innings win on Tuesday to come back and get 3 hit on Wednesday. You chalk it up to that just being baseball, facing a great pitcher, or anything bigger at play here?
No, nothing bigger. He was terrific. He threw a Maddox. It was under 100 pitches, complete game under 100 pitches. Like nobody does that.
Yeah.
In today's game, so Stephen Vogt talked about after the game that he hit his spots and he didn't leave anything out over the plate. I think he left like 2 or 3 pitches out over the plate, and those are the only hits that the Guardians had at all. So he's a guy who's bounced around rotation, bullpen, and he's really coming into his own this year. He wasn't even guaranteed a rotation spot for Boston coming into the year, and pitched well in spring training, secured one of those spots. They had some injuries, and I think he's got 21 strikeouts and 2 walks now in April.
He's doing really good.
He's been off to
That's
phenomenal.
Their rotation's been great. They took a lot of heat. We were talking about with Bull the other day. They took a lot of heat when they traded Chris Sale to Atlanta.
They didn't do anything this offseason.
No, they have, for a couple of years now. They really haven't. They're going the Cleveland 1990s route. They're signing their guys to long-term extensions. They got Brian Bayo, their starter. They locked him up. Their center fielder, they just locked him up. So they're trying not to go the free agent route and build from within. And Hawk is one of those guys. And, he's off to a tremendous – he had a great day. Tip of the cap to him.
Yeah.
It happens.
Ain't nothing you can say.
Yeah.
If the pitcher's on,
Yeah.
Let's talk about from the flip side then. Ben Lively got the spot start for the Guardians. 5 innings, gave up 2 runs, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. But the real thing we need some clarification on, Jason, was the first run he allowed, which came via a balk in, I think it was the 5th inning.
Yeah.
And Stephen Vogt spoke about it after the game. We have the video of it. But, Jason, will you explain to people who may not understand the exact rule why what Ben Lively did yesterday was actually a balk, even though it looks not that bad in the grand scheme of things?
There's a stupid rule in baseball that you have to declare if you're going to pitch out of the windup or out of the stretch. And with the runner at third, Lively went back to the windup and didn't declare it, and therefore it was a balk. We'll listen to Vogt, and then I'll tell you why this is the stupidest rule and why baseball has to fix this.
Tag board is not working at the moment, so Jason.
Oh, all right.
You can paraphrase what Vogt said.
Well, Vogt basically said that they were told that he didn't declare whether or not he was coming out of the windup or out of the stretch. With the runner at third, he went back to the windup, so they called it a balk. What's stupid about this is go back and look at what Nestor Cortez did against the Guardians at home the other day. He's just a trash-ass pitcher. I don't care what anybody says. Nestor Cortez is a trash-ass pitcher. And he does these stupid motions on the mound to try and throw off batters' timings because he's not good enough to just beat them straight up. So he does stupid things like kick his leg and fake a throw and then actually throw it. And that's okay. That's not a balk. But if you don't declare, if you don't tell the batter what you're going to do, wind up or stretch, that is a balk. I love baseball. I've loved baseball my entire life. It was the first love sport I have. But some of what baseball does is so ass backwards and stupid. I can't wait for Rob Manfred to leave. He has been terrible for the game. Here's the Lively. And here's Lively coming out of the stretch, and he didn't declare it, so that's a balk. He did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. He looked at third. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing about his motion was a balk. It's just the fact that he didn't declare. It's stupid. It's a stupid rule. If you're going to make him do that, then tell Nestor Cortez to knock that shit off and pitch like every other man in baseball pitches and try and beat him straight up with this stuff. It's stupid.
Tyvus?
I'm flabbergasted, actually. That was a great pitch. That
was a great pitch. Yeah.
Gosh.
Hit a spot. Find the Cortez if you can, guys. I'm sorry. I probably should have sent it to you. I wasn't really thinking about it.
What does he do?
Just search Nestor Cortez. I'll send it to you in 1 second.
He does all kinds of stupid stuff on the mound where he'll fake a leg kick and kick 2 or 3 times, then he fakes the throw, and then he hurries up and throws because he knows he's a trash-ass pitcher who can't get major leaguers out with his stuff. So he does stupid stuff like this.
Is it effective?
Sometimes.
He was an all-star last year.
He's a trash-ass pitcher.
Hey, I just sent you 2 different angles of it.
Because he does stuff like this.
Well, it's...
Wow.
And I'll pull it up in a sec. Yeah, the one he did against Cleveland over the weekend was by far the craziest. He literally threw a fake pitch, which
That's not a balk, though, in baseball. Look at this. Watch this. No balk. Nope, that's not a balk. That's legal. That's legal.
I gotta see it again. Look at him. Look at him.
Major League Baseball eats it up too, by the way.
It's stupid. Just make your pitch. Just make your pitch. Nope, not a balk. That's not a balk.
Look at this.
Nope, not a balk. Nope, you can do that all day. Keep the foot up.
This.
Do it all day.
Not to defend him, that is impressive balance.
Trash.
Impressive balance.
Trash. Man up and throw the pitch.
So he can't put that foot back down?
No.
Oh, that is pretty. Come on now, that's talented.
That's talented because he can stand on one foot?
Yes.
That's talent?
Yes. Can you do it?
And you don't even drink.
I know.
If you've been drinking, it's hard to stand on one foot. If you ain't drinking, you ought to be able to stand on one foot.
That man can pass the sobriety test easily with flying colors.
Trash-ass pitcher.
Lively balks in a run, then the catcher Wong hits a home run. There's your 2 runs. The game was over, lightning speed. It was actually very comical. Me and Amp this morning went through and watched Major League Baseball's recap on YouTube. They put that little recap together.
Yeah.
They stretched 8 minutes out of last night's game. They showed like 7 replays of a double play. Like the routine to the pitcher to second base. There was no action in the game. It was over before it even started. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's just there was very little offense from either side. Both pitchers pitched well. But, Jason, we've now seen Xavier Curry, Tanner Bybee, Ben Lively back-to-back-to-back put together 3 quality starts in a row.
Yeah.
And we had talked beforehand how this pitching rotation had struggled, kind of to a bit of our surprise. But you're going to go up against Boston and get 5 innings of no-run ball from Curry, 5 innings of 2-run ball from Lively, and 5 innings of 1-run ball from Bybee. Maybe the page is starting to turn on this starting rotation for the Guards.
I mean, I don't know that you can sit here and declare you can trust Curry and Lively. They were terrific starts.
It was good.
There's not a lot of tape on either one of those guys right now. Bybee, yes, this team's going to rely on Tanner Bybee. He's going to have to carry a heavy load for them.
Cy Young votes.
Cy Young votes. It's coming. It's coming.
Pitches like that, it will.
Rounding into form. Rounding into form. I mean, Xavier Curry, he's one of those, like, in-between guys. Like, he was never a top prospect. Not bad by any means, but he's sort of an arm that he's sort of the epitome of what this organization does is being able to maximize pitching arms and get the best out of guys. And they're probably going to have to rely on Curry here pretty soon for an extended time if they don't get – like Gavin Williams, I thought he'd be back by now. It's just some of these guys are taking a little bit longer than we thought, and obviously Bieber going down. The uncertainty around McKenzie, the Zach and I story
Your
finally
piece came out this morning.
Yeah, we put it out this morning. I'm amazed how many people apparently didn't realize Tristan McKenzie has a torn ligament in his arm. Like, people didn't know.
Yeah, that was the big deal last year.
But I thought we knew last year. Like, he was trying to rehab and come back from it. Like, I thought that was common knowledge. And today, I'm getting all this, like, what do you mean he's got a torn? Where did this come from? When did I'm like, guys.
Well, it just hadn't healed, right? That's the thing. It just
Well,
hadn't healed.
it's never going to heal.
Because he didn't get the surgery.
It's never going to heal. And he chose not to have the surgery.
Why would he do that, though?
So I can talk about it more in depth now that the story's out. I don't know. We got other stuff to get to.
We got plenty of time.
So the way he explained it was, depending on where the tear is located, determines, and it's actually over here. It's on your pinky side. UCL's in here. And the only thing you need your UCL for, really, is to throw a pitch 95 miles an hour. Like, it's not a necessary – you can live your daily life with a torn UCL. It's really not that big of a deal. But to be a high-end elite pitcher, although I've heard that there's actually pitchers that don't even have a UCL, which I would now want to look into that and dig into that. But it runs here, and it runs from the humerus to the ulna bone. And the closer it is to the top, to the humeral head, the easier it is for you to try and rehab and pitch through. And there have been other guys with tears who have been able to pitch through it. Masahiro Tanaka from the Yankees is the biggest example of guys who had a torn ligament and pitched through it. Aaron Nola from Philadelphia has a torn ligament. He's pitched with it for 8 years. But his was much milder. It was smaller from what we're gathering. It wasn't as big of a deal. And Nola actually came back throwing harder. So Nola was diagnosed in, I think it was 2016, in like July or August. They shut him down for the rest of the season. And he used that as an opportunity to activate his legs more and use his legs more in his delivery. Worked on leg strength, sort of overhauled how he trained, and he came back throwing even harder despite the tear. That's not been the case with Tristan. Tristan is throwing much lighter, much softer. And there's 3 areas where a torn UCL will really impact you, and it's velocity, location, and pain. There's pain.
So all the things.
All the things you need.
Right. So now, if you pitchers that only experience 2 of the 3, we'll try and pitch through it. If you can handle the pain, if it's a pain management thing, and you can handle the pain, and you have the velocity but not so much the location, you try and work around it. If you don't have pain, which is Tristan's case, Tristan does not have pain. I said, does it hurt? He said, no, not at all. So, but he's got lower velocity, and his command hasn't been as good. His location is down this year. He's not getting guys to chase out of the zone like he did a couple years ago. So he's trying to pitch through 2 of the 3 because he doesn't have pain. Mm-hmm. Tony Gonsolin's another example from the Dodgers, who was diagnosed last year with all they were saying was an elbow injury. He didn't take rest or rehab. Like Tristan was shut down for a couple months last year, tried to rehab it. Gonsolin pitched through it as long as he could. And Gonsolin, when he was diagnosed, had a 1.93 ERA. And when he finally shut it down in August, his ERA was over 7. He just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, Tristan, this was the biggest decision of his career, mm-hmm. of whether or not to have the surgery or not, because he didn't have a contract. Like, he's arbitration eligible, but he doesn't have a long-term contract. He was probably hours from signing in spring training last year before the shoulder injury
Can I
surfaced.
that real quick?
Yeah.
Was it really hours away?
Yeah, like that day. I mean, like that day. That day, and that's more Zach's reporting on that than mine. I don't want to take credit for Zach, but we were in Arizona talking about it, and Zach thought it was going to come down like that day, and then that's when the shoulder started barking. Like Zach was getting ready to try and put the numbers together on this and try and break this, that McKenzie and the Guardians were agreeing to an extension, and then that's when this came down with the shoulder injury. And then, I mean, Tristan's had a lot of injuries in his career to begin with, and then the shoulder starts flaring up, and then the offer disappears. That's how it works. And now he's got this elbow thing, so he hasn't even signed long-term yet. So, my point, and I told him this, I said, I'm surprised you didn't have the surgery because Tommy John, everybody has Tommy John surgery now. So take the surgery. He would have missed last year and probably most or all of this year realistically, and then he would have been back next year ready to go, and he would have had 2 years left before he hits free agency. Now, if he has to shut it down at some point this year, he'll miss this year and all of next year, and he'll have just 1 year before free agency. And he said, like, yeah, of course I, considered the contract, but you have to live in the moment. Yeah. And he did what he thought was best for him. He consulted with 3 different doctors, and the team leaves it up to the player. It's the player's call whether you're going to try and pitch through it with rehab or whether you're going to have the surgery. And he did tell us, Tristan told us that he talked to one doctor, outside consultant, who said have the surgery. And then there was other doctors who felt like he could maybe rehab and pitch through it. He chose to rehab and try and pitch through it. And he said, like, hindsight's 20/20. He's standing by his decision. And hopefully the velocity comes back a little bit, and hopefully he can get back to being the pitcher that he was. Obviously, it's early. The first few starts have not gone well for him.
And we was talking on Tuesday. Didn't y'all say that it's somebody that's got to get sent back down because they need a roster spot for somebody?
Oh, that was to get through this little band a
Case
stretch
we
here.
change,
Yeah.
They made a trade yesterday too.
Yeah, Angel Martinez went on the 60-day DL. They picked up a guy from the Padres just for cash, for money. So,
McKenzie stuff is fascinating though because he is such a key cog in what you would hope would be their rotation this year. You lose Bieber, so okay, you're down one. Gavin Williams, he'll be back at some point, but we haven't seen him yet. Bybee and Allen haven't been as you would expect so far. Carrasco, I mean, dare I say, he might be their most reliable starter.
He on the
3
mound
starts.
today.
Like not that it's, and he's on the mound today going against Brennan Bernardino, who has like a 1.69 ERA, a guy I'm unfamiliar with personally, but sub-2 ERA versus Cookie Carrasco, like.
What's Cookie's ERA right now?
It's in the high
he
threes,
got
right?
He got knocked around a couple.
Yeah, he got hit early by the Yankees, but then he settled in and hung around. I don't know what his ERA is. I don't know.
But either way, like they have a chance today to win a series against the Boston team when you went up against their best pitchers and you had your not best pitchers, which would be, in the grand scheme of things, I know
I'm
it's
not
still
sure who
early.
their best pitchers are right now, frankly.
Well, I can assure you it's not Curry and Lively, at
Right,
least on paper.
right.
And you got 2 wins in a series where those 2 pitched 2, and you
We
got
don't-
Carlos Carrasco being as your
We don't
your
know.
third or fourth
We don't
starters.
know that to be true.
He has a 3.5 ERA right now.
That's very solid.
I guess you're right. We don't know it to be true, but on
By the end
paper,
of this year, they could be.
It's just wild.
It'd be
that
a shame, but
Carrasco was brought back here as a feel-good story, and as a hey, we've got one spot in the bullpen left. You know, maybe you can claim that bullpen spot.
and he
To
started
now
his
on
third,
April 18th, and it's
was his 4th game.
clinging to Cookie Carrasco to hold this rotation together. It's unbelievable. It's baseball, man.
Thank God we are hitting the ball well this
not
year.
yesterday.
Not yesterday.
the bullpen, Jason's been surprisingly really good too. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone they've put out there, they got hit up a little bit on Tuesday, but for the most part, this bullpen, which had a ton of question marks coming into the season, has been really, really, really reliable.
And Henches hasn't come back yet. He's a big piece to what they do, another big left-hander. Yeah, they've been great. Like, Beatty has been – they've got Lively, Bybee, and Beatty. Like, you got to be careful, trip over the names.
Lively,
But they've had some surprise contributions from guys. Clase's been solid.
Barlow had the
Barlow's
2
been
nights
up and
ago.
down. Yeah, he's been a little shaky. He's making a lot of money.
Tanner
So,
Morgan.
I did have one more question about the Guardians. They
Yeah.
played Arias. He's starting at third base today.
yeah.
He's played shortstop and he's played center field in the series. He's hitting, so they're going to keep him in the lineup. But
Right.
were you aware he had this kind of positional
yeah.
and defensive versatility?
Yeah, he's an incredible athlete. He's probably their Jimenez would be their best defensive shortstop if he played short. Obviously, he's a platinum glove at second. I thought for a minute that they may move Jimenez to short after last season because it's easier to fill second than short. But Arias is, if Arias continues to hit like this, I think he will be the everyday shortstop.
This is what they were waiting for last season.
They've been begging for Arias to grab hold of the shortstop job, and he just wasn't doing it. And so they went to Rocchio. But if Arias figures out major league pitching, and if he can continue to hit like this, he's got an absolute hose for an arm. He's great defensively. He should be the shortstop over Rocchio, but he just hasn't hit. So
What have you seen over the last 4 or 5 games in his approach? Have you seen anything that has led to these significant improvement in results?
I don't know. I just think you just have to do it. It's different. It's different for everybody. Some guys, you just need one look at it, and then they struggle a little bit. Maybe one quick trip to AAA, and you come back up and you figure it out. And with Arias, he's had multiple opportunities time and again, playing different positions, not shortstop every day, obviously, but they've tried forcing him into right field, first base. They've tried moving him around because he has a lot of power in his bat, and he's such a great defender, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together. But if he puts it all together, he's the everyday shortstop.
We saw Florio after the big hit on Tuesday, 0 for 3 strikeouts yesterday.
Yeah, I told Zach Meisel, I texted him during the Yankees doubleheader. I said, this feels like Florial's last gasp. The fact that they started him both games of that doubleheader kind of felt like maybe that's his last chance before Manzardo gets here. And he took advantage of the opportunity. And maybe bought himself. And I'm just speculating. Like, nobody told me that. I think they want – Manzardo didn't get off to a great start at AAA, but I think that they want him up here sooner than later. So we'll see. I mean, not going to worry about one game with Florial, but it does feel like they're going to get Kyle Manzardo up here.
And
sooner
someone
than
has
later.
to go. To bring him up, someone has to go.
He's one of the guys that I would think would be on the bubble.
You know, it'd be nice for a nice bounce back. 2 home runs today so they can continue to stay top 15.
That's all you care about is top 15 home runs and if Tanner Bybee gets Cy Young votes. That's all you care about.
I want everybody to be held. I want everybody to win their bowl. What was Bulls?
I don't remember Bulls.
That Brian Rocchio would be an all-star.
Did he say that?
Yes.
Man,
Not off to a great start.
I'm about to say this.
Rocchio's been fine, but not off to an all-star caliber start.
Right now, the least baseball expert is doing the best in this race.
I was just going to say, wouldn't that be funny if the two guys who closely follow the game whiff and this guy's the one who hits?
Optimistic, man. It's just no ball. It's like one year the bats just ain't clicking. The next year they just start. That's just how it works.
And first pitch today is 1:30
Yep.
against the Red Sox, a afternoon game to end that series. Next up for the Guardians, they're back in Cleveland for 3 games against the Oakland Athletics, who are surprisingly 6-4 in the last 10. So
Crazy.
playing a little better baseball. And we got some super chats.
Yeah, first one here comes from Armac Dog. I don't trust Darius, Mobley, or JB to make the right adjustments. Stay with the hot hands and attack their weaknesses. Cavs should have hired Kevin Ollie.
Okay.
And then, lastly, Deion Flores. Cav lost 4-2 in 2009. The Nail 0-1 won on the road. That was a hard
Read that
construction
last part
sentence.
again.
The Nail 0-1 won on the road. I'm reading that verbatim.
Nail 0-1.
I'm not sure what they were trying to go for that.
I don't know.
Well, we didn't ask this when we did the happy face, sad face for the Cavs.
JB Bickerstaff.
Don't do it to me.
If
JB
I actually thought about that. I regretted not
Here we
asking about
go.
JB.
we should have done JB, and this
Grab
is a
the
bad
faces.
job out of us.
JB, we got 4 minutes.
I'm gonna abstain.
It's a consensus. I'm a consensus.
I'll let just Tyvis.
Wait a minute. What do you just for the first series or the playoffs in totality?
Just in general.
But you know what the good thing is, he has the opportunity to change that. You come out there, you make some. You gotta find out how they're playing you. And you come out there and you pull your clipboard out, you see how they playing. You make some adjustments, and it's very effective. I'll take that back. But one thing I'll say about JB, and one of the frustrating things is, I feel like his adjustments just don't be working, especially when it came playoffs. Like 2 years ago in the play-in, terrible. I watched Trae Young kill us, and we did
He
nothing.
was a minus 30 last night, by the way.
Who?
Trae Young.
Yeah.
It was a minus 30.
Then last year we watched the Knicks just blitz us, and we did nothing.
They got pushed around inside.
And then
rebounding killed them in that series.
So now this year you got a chance to change all those things. If you can do that, like it'll let me know at least you've got some experience. You don't make the same mistakes, and they're gonna test you. I mean, obviously they know what your weaknesses is. They watch tape as well. They're gonna go out there and they're gonna see if you fixed anything that you might have struggled with, and if you don't,
here's what I'll say
then
about
Kendra might be right.
Here's what I'll say about JB. Last year, I felt like he didn't have what he needed to compete because they had no shooting. Mm-hmm. And it was a point of emphasis throughout the entire playoffs. Shooting. They addressed that in the offseason. Theoretically, they should have everything they need. Now, Donovan, is he 100% or not? We'll find out Saturday. I agree with Mike. 10 days off should be a massive help to the knee. No Dean Wade is a huge loss to what they do. He's an underrated defender. He's so important as a stretch four. But there's other guys who can make shots. And that's why I said earlier, I think it comes down to who's the better team from three. Who shoots it better from three? That's the team that's going to win the series. The Cavs should, especially for this first round, they should have everything that they need to get out of the first round.
I know we got a minute left, so quick question. But how much of a factor do you think JB's relationship with Jamal Mosley actually is in this sense? The fact that they know each other.
They know each other really well.
So well.
Yeah.
Does that benefit the new guy or the old guy?
No, I don't think it benefits either one, but they certainly know each other. And they coach very much the same way, very defensive-oriented, defensive-minded type coaches. And two of the best people you could ever meet, like Jamal and JB both. Just tremendous people. So, I know Jamal from his time here, great guy. And JB is just a wonderful man. I know he takes a lot of crap here, some of it deserved, some of it undeserved, but he's such a good dude that he's a guy who's easy to root for. But I think they know each other. They know each other's tendencies. I don't think one has an advantage over the other for it, though.
Tyvis, have you ever played against a coach who was a former assistant of Urban or one of your head coaches in the NFL? And if so, did you approach that game any differently from a game plan standpoint in 20 seconds?
No. I mean, yeah, I have. I mean, they knew all our stuff, but at the end of the day, in college, we got better athletes, so
it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll find out if Donovan, Darius, Evan, Jared, and the Cavs are better athletes than the Magic. We heard from Kendra Douglas today. Appreciate y'all tuning in. And what's in overtime?
I'm thinking we're going to talk about how bad the umpiring has been in the MLB this year.
Perfect. See you in 20 seconds. Peace.